Crawford, Adam the Bull, Garrett Bush, Tyvis Powell, Jason Lloyd. Plus, ba-da-da-da-da, you're loving him, Mikey McNuggets. And so many big names, it would take me hours to say all of their names. The ultimate Cleveland sports show starts now. Booyah!
Welcome, everybody, to the ultimate Cleveland sports show. I feel sorry. I was just telling Mike, we've gone down to this 3 days a week, although we've been down 3 days a week for a couple of weeks now, and I'm already trying to, manipulate my schedule with Steve because I don't like working 3 days a week. It's not.
So
it feels disjointed.
Do you want to go to like 2 days?
Well, no. I want to work more than that. So,
Okay.
I think I'm trying to work out something where I take a few weeks off, like where I'm totally off, but I work 4 or 5 days the other week. So because it's 3 days a week, I'm feeling so disjointed. I need to be here more, G, when I'm here.
So you're like a teacher. You want the teacher schedule.
Yeah, I kind of want the teacher schedule. I don't know. We'll see. We'll work it all out. But it's good to see you guys. It's been almost a week for me. Earl, you were on the panel yesterday. No, Mike was on the panel yesterday. You were on Monday. G was here Monday. So we got a lot to get to today. Let's first say hello to Mikey McNuggets behind the glass before we get into all the
what's up, guys?
Nonsense and all the topics. Some of the topics today, including a wacky list from the 33rd team of quarterback rankings. We're not really going to dive into the list as much as to how do you figure out where Deshaun Watson should be ranked. Also, we're going to talk about Nick Chubb and how imperative it is for the Browns or not to bring him back. We'll talk some Cavs. I know you guys had a conversation yesterday about Cavs versus Browns, who's got the best chance to win. We're going to do a little more on that on Friday. But anyway, go to Mike for a minute. How you doing, Mike?
What's up, guys? I like the fits all around the board today. Earl's rocking the Evan Mobley jersey. G, in a way, resembles a Clementine, giant Clementine.
My
G
name
and the
is
giant peach.
Shout out to the Power Ranger villain Goldar.
I don't know.
Anthony, do you know
I don't know
Goldar?
anything about that.
You just pulled a deep dive anime character. Not even Anthony Antonelli knows.
Yeah, I don't know.
Anthony doesn't watch Power Rangers?
Power Rangers? You don't
Surprised
remember
by that.
Goldar? I bet you he remembers the phrase, make my monster grow, pause.
No, he doesn't watch Power Rangers.
Balls in the Power Black.
I mean, I wear this is just a regular shirt. I don't
but
even
we
know if
have
it's
to
black. I
mention
think it's
something.
navy.
You weren't here yesterday, Bull, but we have to update the fans on something.
Hey,
Anyone
what
watching?
hold on. First of all, where you getting these jerseys from, bro?
Yeah,
That's
all of a sudden,
all of a sudden, Earl got these jerseys. He had the Donovan Mitchell joint on. Now he got the Mobley. Let me see. Yeah, it's sewn on. Okay. Don't be out here with that iron on, boy. I like it.
Hey, listen. We ain't talking about the jerseys. Child support watching, man. Hush.
I get him all the time, bro. I be getting him all the time.
He's just snitching right there.
Look at that, man. That look like one of them NBA.com boys.
Yeah.
That 109.
It is a nice jersey.
Go crazy, man.
It is a nice jersey. But
Mike, what did you want to get to?
So yesterday,
Yeah.
to start the show, we talked about potential alternate intro music for UCSS.
Yeah.
And Earl had mentioned a song, and Jason hadn't heard it. And then we talked about Super Bowl performers for next season, how Lil Wayne is championed to be the guy who performs in New Orleans, where he's from.
Whoa.
And Jason was not super familiar with Lil Wayne. So after the
Lord.
show, Jason came upstairs, and we showed him a few Lil Wayne songs.
Mm-hmm.
And let's just say seeing Jason listen, and this is the cream of the crop era of music videos, so we were playing the music videos too. Jason was all on
Cream
board.
of
The
the crop
Lil
era
Wayne.
of music videos was the 80s. What are you talking about?
Nah, come on, boy. Come on.
Earl and G know what I'm talking
What?
about.
Come on,
They were
come on,
movie
boy.
production.
Come on, boy.
Yeah.
Come
I
on
mean,
now.
you guys are flat out embarrassing yourselves right now. Thriller was the greatest music video ever.
Right.
No?
Yeah. I guess.
Okay.
So
That was 80s.
Here's the thing: when you talk about the budgets, right?
Yeah.
Like, so shout out to Hype Williams. When you get into the late '90s,
Yeah.
early 2000s, on to the 2010s, I think
Yeah.
it stopped probably like 09. People were spending $1 million, $2 million just on
Really?
treatments.
Oh, I thought you were
$1 million
saying
video.
right now. I didn't
Oh
even know
no,
they made
there's
videos.
no such thing as videos. They got rid of
Yeah.
TRL,
Yeah.
and they got rid of 106 in Park. Without
Yeah.
those, like it's just like
It's out.
That was
All
the
right,
era.
so,
Of, yeah.
So Lil Wayne was big in the 2000s, early 2000s?
Yeah.
Yeah,
I don't.
huge.
I mean, I've heard of him, but I don't know any of his music.
He was
Oh,
in
we
that-
got to put you on too.
Jason was blown
Lil
away
Wayne is
by
one
the
of the greatest
music.
rappers to ever
He
live.
is.
the greatest rapper alive since
Okay.
the other rapper retired.
But I still think the intro should be "Swing My Dough."
Go ahead. Are you playing something?
No, we have enough budget to play 1 second of the song, so we're just going to ignore playing the song. But I just want to say, watching Jason in real time listen and see some of Lil Wayne's biggest hits was pretty spectacular to watch. And we should do this with you after the show, today, Bull, and we'll record you watching and listening to some Lil Wayne, some Lil Wayne bangers.
I like 80s rap music. I don't know that I like. I mean, I don't like modern rap music. I like old school rap music. I like Run DMC.
So you like Beastie Boys, Run DMC?
I do like Beastie Boys.
LL
I like Run
Cool G,
DMC. I like
Cool
LL
J.
Cool J.
You have Apple Music,
I do.
so if I share my playlist with you after work,
I will give it a try.
Give it a try for the rest of the day.
I give it a try. I'm really just like, I don't like country. I don't like rap. I don't like disco. That's terrible.
I'm listening to Lil Boosie latest album. I'm listening to a lot of Big X The Plug.
I don't know any of these people.
Listen to a lot of Lil Baby. I listen to Young Dolph every day.
I know did we discuss this on this show? I can't remember how long ago I had this conversation, but there's a female rapper who went to my high school who I think is somewhat big. Can't think of her name.
Ice Spice?
Because she went years after me.
MC Light?
I don't know. I'd have to look her up.
Lil
but
Kim?
I don't know. I don't know if
Cardi
she's
B?
like a superstar. I think she was like a mid-tier rapper. But anyway, couple of things. First of all, did you guys discuss the Super Bowl commercials at all?
Actually, we didn't. We thought they fell
not a
off.
lot.
I
We
thought
were not impressed.
You said, what did I say, Mike?
Overall, not impressed.
I thought the Dunkin' Donuts commercial with Ben Affleck and
That was good.
and Matt Damon and
Did you see the
Tom
extended
Brady.
cut they put out on Twitter
I
today?
did see that. Did you guys
was
see that
awesome.
commercial, the 4-minute version of that one?
Yes, that wasn't bad.
That was good. I thought all the rest of the commercials were crap.
I thought the Dr. Pepper commercial was funny.
Which one was that?
The transfer portal commercial. It was like towards the
I
beginning.
didn't see that one.
But that's
was
old
funny.
though, ain't it? He was like, we're losing
That was
our
the first
quarterback.
that's the first time I had seen it.
Okay.
Yeah.
I think the commercials might have been different depending on like how you watch the game, because there were some people watching on Paramount Plus, and some people watching on CBS, and I don't know. But anyway, anybody else for a good commercial?
Paramount Plus commercial.
But that came out like 2 weeks ago, though.
It was cool how they honored Carl Weathers at the end of that, which was pretty cool. But
Did Gronk kick that field goal?
no,
He missed it.
no, he didn't even come close.
No, he shanked it. Completely shanked it.
He was terrible. By the way, I actually got mad at my therapist. So I had therapy this morning. I go for therapy. And I went to my therapist this morning. I got mad at my therapist because, this is funny, we were talking about, and shout out to Sheila, she's a great therapist and was really helpful today. But there was, in my therapy session, we were talking about pizza, right? And she told me that she said the only pizza she likes is from this one restaurant, and it's a buffalo chicken pizza. And I just rolled my eyes at her. I said, Sheila, that is inappropriate.
Do you
I told my therapist she was inappropriate. I said, buffalo chicken pizza is not pizza. Call it something else. Now, she's a great therapist, and it was a very productive session, besides that 30 seconds of buffalo chicken pizza.
Why didn't you tell her she was out of pocket?
I should have said she was out of pocket. You're right.
Yeah,
It didn't come to me. I just said it was inappropriate. But she was out of pocket with that.
That just reminds me. Remember, California Pizza Kitchen was huge.
Yeah, for a while.
And then
Didn't LeBron own some of those?
Yeah, I think then he did some Blazes
Blaze,
or something.
right?
Oh, yeah, Blaze. That's right.
And then, but now you don't see them too much anymore.
you don't.
It's like the Hard Rock
That is
Cafe.
true. You don't see that at all. You don't see California Pizza Kitchen. All right,
that's
Mike, what do
crazy.
we got for? What do you got for
Let's
us?
get into our first read. We'll
Yeah.
dive into some topics today. If you're looking to get buckets during the NBA season, there's no better place to score than FanDuel, America's #1 sportsbook, because right now, brand new customers get $150 in bonus bets with any winning $5 bet. That's $150 if your bet wins. You can bet on all your favorite NBA players and teams with quick bets, live same-game parlays, exclusive props, and so much more. Just visit FanDuel.com/UCSS to shoot your shot. FanDuel, an official partner of the NBA. And today's winning ticket comes on an NBA Cavs bet from Lip Gallagher, who had a 7-part same-game parlay turn $10 into $160.16 in the Cavaliers 76ers game on Monday night. He said the only thing he wished is they got a win as well, but he'll still take the $160 on a $10
Why
bet
not?
with this 6-part same-game parlay. If you have a winning ticket, make sure you tweet at us as always, and we will feature them on the show moving forward.
I feel like when I came in, when I was the first one in this part of the building today, and then Anthony came. I was walking to the bathroom in the back, and Anthony came through the door, and he looked at me as if he didn't recognize me for a second, or I don't know what was going on with you, Anthony. Did something happening?
Anthony says, oh.
He was in his mind.
I was like, hey, Anthony, and he was just kind of like looking at me like he was lost in the soup or didn't recognize me or something. It was very strange.
Well, speaking of lost in the soup, let's get into some quarterback rankings.
Yes.
And we want to preface this. We're going to show you these rankings in a second. We're not here to argue the minutia of who was ranked where because this
Well, I'd
list,
hardly say it's minutia.
well, the big picture of who's ranked is
The
specifically
rankings are.
where.
We
These
don't
rankings,
agree
this
with
list
much of
is
this list.
objectively terrible.
Yeah.
This list, we disagree with. There's a bigger picture that we're going to ask a question about. But Anthony, take tagboard full here. This is from the 33rd team in their pre-free agency quarterback rankings for the 2024 offseason. They have Deshaun Watson at 27.
Yeah,
Well,
now-
what else stands out to you before we dive
Let me
into
make
the
it very
question?
clear. This is not a they. This is one guy who works for the 33rd team. It's one individual person.
Fair. It's Peter Klass.
Right. Who I don't know who he is doesn't mean he's not a smart. He's listed as a football analyst and scout. So whatever. Listen, everybody. I shit on people's opinions all the time. It's not fair, but ultimately everybody's entitled to their opinion. Your list is your list. You know, we can't factually say that. Most of this is opinion. Yeah, nobody's going to put Desmond Ridder ahead of Patrick Mahomes. That would be ludicrous. But ultimately, it's all opinion. And his opinion seems kind of batshit crazy to me because everything's all over the place. I mean, he's got Jalen Hurts at like 17, which seems kind of nuts.
I mean, he got Bryce Young like at like 20 something, or like Bryce Young's ahead of like some dope people.
Yeah, I mean, Bryce. Yeah, right. Based on last year, I wouldn't put Bryce Young. I mean, I guess I'd put Bryce Young ahead of Bailey Zappi and Aiden O'Connell. At least he's got that. Now, when it comes to ranking quarterbacks, I guess you do it however you want. He didn't give his criteria. He didn't say, this is just based on last year. This is just based on what I expect for next year. I don't know what his criteria was for his list because some of the players on there are so out of whack. I think the bigger question is, with Deshaun Watson, he has Deshaun Watson at 27, right?
Correct. Behind Desmond Ridder and Bryce Young at 25
Okay.
and 26.
Now, whether you specifically agree about where he should be ranked or where you think Deshaun Watson be ranked, I guess the question we're asking is, how do you guys, when you're ranking quarterbacks, now let's keep in mind we're all a little biased because here in Cleveland, we're going to probably make a stronger case for a Deshaun Watson comeback and belief in Deshaun Watson than a neutral observer would. Same thing for any other quarterback with their fan base. Except for the really crappy quarterbacks at the bottom, 24, 25, 26 fan bases are going to inflate their own player. I think that's just the nature of fandom. But when you rank Deshaun Watson, at this point, how much can you still factor in, if at all, what he did in Houston? We'll start with you, G.
How many years ago has that been?
He played in Houston. It was the 2020 season. So
what is that? 4 years
there's
ago?
been 3 years
Three
since he
full
played in
seasons
Houston.
removed since his last year
Okay.
with Houston.
This will be the 4th season coming up.
The way I look at it, is this. One of the things that we always interject and put into it is basically injuries. Like, if a person's injured for a whole year or consistently injured, I think one of the things that we do is we naturally take some points off because you haven't seen that level of play, and you're just basically guessing. If he was to play, what would he look like? If he was to play, would he be a top 10 quarterback? And because we only have what we go on for, the 6 games or 11 games that he played or whatever the case may be, it's natural for people to be like, no, I don't believe it. I'm seeing this person all the time. And, my dad used to always say this. He says, man, you can like girlfriends all you want. High school girlfriends don't count. He's like, the only reason you talk to that girl is because if I didn't make you go to school and her parents didn't make her go to school, we go to jail. So that's the only reason y'all talk. Like, y'all ain't got nothing in common.
Yeah.
You ain't even developed no personality. So, like, proximity in recency is what we look at. And if you're looking at that just like that, like, if we haven't seen him play, we don't have enough faith to say, oh, well, I just saw Josh Allen throw for all these yards.
Yeah.
You making it up a little bit. Like, if you like really like, okay, I like that person, so I'm gonna give it a benefit of the doubt. So for me, it's all about what you do and how often and recent you've done it. So if they want to put Deshaun Watson at 2, 24, 27, there's really nothing you can say about it. You just got to respect it and say, well, go out and prove it wrong. But I can't be mad at somebody saying he's in the 20s because he hasn't played enough. Like, that's not their job to go look around and be completely fair to everybody. They're just going by what they're seeing.
I mean, like you said, it's his opinion. It's his list. Do what the hell you want to do with it. I think his list is BS. You got Joe Burrow at 9. We know that's BS. You got, what's his name, Anthony Richardson.
At 15.
At 15, ahead of Jalen Hurts.
Yeah, that doesn't make much sense.
If I was making a list, I think I would base my list off of last year's performance and what I think that person to do this upcoming season. So for me, what Deshaun Watson did in Houston is irrelevant. You wear orange and brown now. I would probably have Deshaun Watson somewhere between 15 and 18 if it was me, because I've seen him for 12 games in the Cleveland Browns uniform, and he has a winning record in those games. Now, the performance have been subpar, but the last time I seen Deshaun Watson, he was 14 for 14 in the second half with a bump shoulder. And throughout the season, you've seen spurts of Deshaun Watson really showing he still has the athleticism, he still can make the crisp decisions, and he can still, like, put points on the board, make big plays. I think the biggest hurdle for Deshaun Watson has always been the mental, right? It seems like ever since he's been through what he's been through and he tries to bounce back from that, it's like another hurdle stands in his way. You know what I mean? Coming off the best game that we probably seen, or the best half we seen him play in the Cleveland Browns uniform, you turn around and then his season is over. And yet here's another hurdle. And I think that the more adversity that you go through, it starts to wear on you mentally. And so for me, if he can overcome the mental hurdles, I think then he can return to top 10 form, because I still see every other aspect still being there for him.
For me, if I were making a quarterback ranking list, if I would do it during the season, like from the midway point of the season to the end of the season, I would base it just on that season alone, because that's what's going on right now. A list like this, he even called it his 24 list, so it's a looking ahead. Mm-hmm. So what I would do for me is I would base it mostly on the 23 season and my expectations for the player on the 24 season. And that's the only place where the Texans' Deshaun Watson plays a role. Because if Deshaun hadn't, let's say his career started just these last 2 years, well, we'd have no expectations for him because we'd never seen him play good or consistently good like he did in Houston.
Right.
So that his play in Houston plays a role for me, at least somewhat, maybe not a high percentage, but at least a percentage, in how good I think he's going to be next year, right? Because I've seen that player. But in terms of what he actually accomplished there, at this point, I can't give him credit for that in terms of where I rank him, because it's been too many years. I look into last year, what I think for next year, and then probably a small percentage what he did the year before, which also wasn't very good in his case. But I'm just talking in general, what they did in 2022. So if the only thing I disagree with either of you, is when Earl said, well, his record's good. To me, that's irrelevant. I think that's a crutch that people are using to give Deshaun Watson some credit that, in my opinion, he doesn't deserve. Because in Houston, his last year, he was phenomenal. His record sucked. And a lot of people giving him, I'm not saying this is the case with you, but a lot of people giving him credit for his record in Cleveland were the same ones that were defending him for his crappy record in Houston that last year because he played great. Now, I defended Deshaun Watson. Not that I didn't care about his record in his last year in Houston, but I thought he played great and their record was crappy, and it had little to do with him. And I don't think his 4-1 record this year is indicative of how he played. he was okay, but he wasn't 4-1 good. He wasn't 80 winning percentage good, in my opinion. So where I would have Deshaun Watson right now is around 20. I think he's between 18 and 22. I think that's a fair rating for him because he hasn't done anything for 3 years. In fact, if we're just basing it on the last 2 years, you'd probably have to put him lower. I'm having him higher because I still believe that guy is there, and I think we could see it this year. But ultimately, I'd have to put him now low. Now, to your point, you said, well, listen, he hasn't done anything, so that's why he's low. Think about Matthew Stafford, right? On this guy's list, now I don't agree that Matthew Stafford should be this high, but Matthew Stafford's number 5 on his list. Now, even if we say that's too high, you'd still have Matthew Stafford at the very least in the top 15.
Top
very
10,
least,
top
right?
10 for me.
Last year, if you were doing this list a year ago, you wouldn't have Matthew Stafford. You'd have Matthew Stafford where Deshaun Watson was.
Right.
Because he was coming off an injury-plagued year where he didn't play well, and even though it hadn't been as many years as Deshaun, he's older. So you thought, I think a lot of people thought, well, Stafford's done. That's the end, beginning of the end. And he bounced back. Even Baker, who I think he has Baker 20th. Baker would have been 30th last year.
I think a lot of it goes on likability too. Look, Daniel Jones is I think Daniel Jones, he got him, 15 or 16?
No. Daniel Jones is only a couple spots ahead of.
What, can you throw that back up here real quick?
Where was Daniel Jones? Like 24, 25?
Daniel Jones is 23.
Okay.
23.
Daniel Jones,
spots ahead.
Daniel Jones is 23. He was pretty much hurt for the whole season. Russell Wilson.
Yeah, Daniel Jones was objectively worse than Watson this past year.
Desmond Ridder is not going to be the starting quarterback.
Sucks,
yeah, he's not good. Bryce Young was not good. Derek Carr was not good last year.
I think if you look at 21 to 26, I would make a case that I'd put Watson ahead of all those guys except for Russell Wilson. I can make Russell Wilson ahead.
Now take a look at this. Do you know offhand what Tua's numbers is? His yards and touchdowns and stuff?
They were good.
Did he throw for
Say it
like
again, G's.
Tua's statistics.
Tua, yeah.
Because he has Tua like 19 or 20.
Yeah, this is
Right.
And what I'm trying to look for is more.
I got his numbers, G. You want it real quick?
Yeah, go ahead.
He threw for 4,624 yards, which led the NFL. He threw 29 touchdowns, tied for
There you go.
fifth,
There you go.
and 14 interceptions.
I don't want to talk about it.
So this guy, listen,
Right.
this guy is really basing this list on what he thinks of the player.
Right.
Not just what they did last year.
There it is.
And what he thinks the player is going to be going forward. Now, anyway, so go ahead.
So what you just said, he's basing this list off of what he thinks of the player.
I think that, yeah.
Here's the first 2 sentences of the write-up of Deshaun Watson.
Yeah.
I'm over it with Deshaun Watson.
Oh, yep.
The only players on this list lower than him are either clear backups or younger players with something more to prove. Mike, can I get that list?
And pull it back up. Yep.
How the hell you gonna tell me guys like Richardson has proved more than Deshaun Watson?
It's not true.
Or Daniel Jones has proved more than Deshaun
Hasn't.
Watson. You know, just if you just look at the list,
Yeah.
see, we
But
often
he's not saying that.
But we often talk about
Yeah.
our biases when it comes to Deshaun Watson, right?
Right.
We're Browns fans. We work in this city. We live in this
Yeah.
city. Naturally, if you've been a fan of Deshaun Watson, naturally you have some biases towards him. But to me, that sounds like somebody with a bias towards Deshaun Watson as well.
I don't think so. I mean, he
I
might.
think so as well.
But I don't
I
think
definitely
so based on
when-
what he said. But you got to read the rest. He talks. It's
No, I
he
read the
doesn't-
rest.
He doesn't say anything about the off the field stuff.
I read the rest, but what
Yeah.
you said is this
Yeah.
is based on what he thinks of the player.
Right.
Right? So there's a bias there, which he's over it.
Well,
Hey, do sometimes, you know, one of my favorite lines, Lupe Fiasco said, I ain't got to say it to say it. I don't got to just specifically be like, you know, I don't like you at all.
Well, see,
but here's the thing. He thinks that Tua is a poser. He
Yes.
thinks Tua is a poser. He has weapons, but he's not no quarterback that he would
Yeah.
he would put it in
well,
that
based on his
echelon.
rankings, he's got Tua, Hurts, and Brock Purdy all as posers.
So
Because they're all between 15 and 20.
And you got a rookie quarterback ahead of them who played,
That's-
3 or
But
4
that's
games.
opinion. I mean, listen.
because he
I ain't knocking him for it. I'm just
Yeah.
saying.
he it's like one of them things, like, you know, we all got an affinity or a perception of who we like. He liked
Yeah.
what he liked.
Right.
But there are some objective things, right? You can have an opinion, but there's a baseline. And if you go below that baseline, then you could be disregarded. If somebody came in and somebody said, "Hey, man,
Yeah.
Desmond Ridder is better than Mahomes," the conversation's over. I can't talk to you.
Listen, this guy's list, I don't really care for. To me, it's irrelevant I think the bigger question is, and I think we're all in somewhat agreement, that Deshaun Watson, I think Earl maybe a little higher, but that putting Deshaun Watson around 20 is reasonable.
It's reasonable.
I asked the chat, by the way.
Yeah.
And before I read you the answer, we have 241 votes. I asked a simple question. How should we rank Deshaun Watson heading into 2024? Two options, based on the last 2 seasons or based on his reputation. This is our chat, UCSS chat. All three, what do you think the results are? Your 2 options are based on the last 2 seasons or based on reputation?
50-50.
G, what do you think?
I think the last 2 years.
Earl?
I'm gonna say reputation.
So we have literally a split. It is a 75-25 result based on the last 2 years, which surprises me because we love our chat. They're our friends, but a lot of times they are the extreme of the extreme in giving someone the benefit of the doubt. But if they're willing to go 75-25 last 2 seasons, they're kind of in agreement with all 3 of you guys.
And this is ultimately just a fun conversation to have because it doesn't really matter whether some guy from the 33rd team ranks Deshaun Watson 5th or 27th. Has nothing to do with how he's going to play next year.
Believe it or not, I think that this guy's opinion is more in line with the Browns' opinion, the Browns fans' opinion of Deshaun Watson. I wish people would just call a spade a spade. There's a lot of people, I would say over 50% of the people do not like Deshaun Watson here in Cleveland.
But
it's over 50?
Heck yeah.
But wait a second, G. Here's what I would say to that. And I think you're probably in the ballpark at 50%.
About 50%.
Now, I think there are a good percentage of those fans
that could be
if
turned.
He played great would be
they
turned.
They could be turned.
Yes.
They could be turned.
I also think you could not like Watson because he hasn't played well or not like him because of the off-the-field stuff. And that doesn't necessarily mean you can't be fair about where he's going to be ranked.
It's very tough.
Well, listen, we all have our biases.
Think about it like this. Baker on there is 18. Baker shouldn't be 18.
Baker was 20. Wasn't he 20?
Baker was 20.
Baker should be higher than that.
Purdy was 18.
Higher, like in the top, like ranked higher?
If you base it on last year, his
Brock
season
Purdy and Baker should both be
higher than that.
Well,
but they don't like. But Baker has a contingency of people who are never going to come around on him.
And you may be right. I don't know that, like, for this guy, I don't know that he's. I think it's a little unfair to say, well, he doesn't like this guy. I mean, you like or dislike a guy maybe because of off the field, but also maybe you just don't like their game. I mean, he's got, like I said, Jalen Hurts, Brock Purdy, and Tua are all way lower than most people would put on his list. Those guys don't have really haters in that way, the same way that Baker and Deshaun do.
I think that the linchpin of the argument is what Earl said. He got Richardson there, and Richardson played like 3 games. He got hurt like in 4 games.
That was stunning to me, but he's also got, I mean, Jalen, but then he's got Richardson who proved nothing at high, and guys who have proved things low. Because I feel like his list is based on what his expectation is for next year.
If you ask me, Will Levis has more that he's shown you than even Richardson. Will Levis is at 28. He did go into Miami and get a win. Like, Will Levis didn't play like he's not a gangbuster or something, but I mean, Justin Fields showed me more than that.
The Richardson one is kind of the craziest. He played 4 games last year.
Yeah, I like Richardson more than Will Levis, but Desmond Ridder shouldn't be ahead of Will Levis. I mean, Desmond Ridder I have no hope for at this point. I think
at all.
He's not any good. That doesn't mean I'm right, but
Kyler Murray's at 11.
Yeah, and like Kyler Murray.
Geno Smith is at 12.
Yeah. Whoa. Geno Smith ahead of Jared Goff? I don't see
that's why we didn't want to, like, this list was different.
I don't.
Well, G, let me ask you this, though, because this is the second part of the question here. If the ranking was based off, what do you expect for 2024? If that's just the criteria, you're ranking guys, what you expect for them next season. Where does Watson fall in the 1 to 32 rank? Is he top 10, 20, 25?
Well, this is wrong, right,
just
your opinion.
Season.
Wrong, right, or indifferent. He got to be inside that top, like 12.
But will he be?
No, he's acting like based on like what you think of him for 2024. That's who you rank
in the top 12.
Yeah,
that's where you starting him at. Like today,
like
he started
12.
off as 12.
12, and it's because that's my expectation, and That's where they gotta have him at. Like that. Like this is. I love the pressure. As a matter of fact, if I could, I'd tell him put him at a 90th. So he can have that chip on his shoulder and go out and play ball. But top 12 is the expectation level. Here's the thing: if he plays like he did in the second half against the Ravens, easy top 12.
All right, so if we're basing, Mike, this is our 2024
This
projected.
is just projecting for next season.
I'm gonna start him off at 11. I'm just gonna go one higher than you, and here's why.
So you done hit me with the Price is Right. $1.
Here's why. I believe the arm talent is still there. I
Okay.
believe the decision making is still there. I believe he is still a great athlete, right? And then you look at that. The Cleveland Browns have a great team. You're gonna be getting your running back back in the backfield. You should. Everybody is gonna be all hands on deck, right? If Deshaun Watson is healthy and he can get over those mental hurdles, he is just as good, if not better, than a lot of these dudes that's playing quarterback in the NFL. So if that shoulder can hold up and he's really like kind of reached that next level and over the mental hurdles, then I have no reason to believe that Deshaun Watson will not end this season at least as a top 6 or 7 quarterback.
Oh, yeah.
So for right now, all things equal, today I give him at 11. That's my projected. I'm gonna start him off at 11.
The best argument, the highest I could talk I was just looking through all the quarterbacks quickly, and the highest I could talk myself into was 16. That was the highest I could talk myself into because here's the guys I can't put him ahead of.
Okay.
Now maybe you're going to have a couple of these guys and you feel like there is an argument to put him ahead of these.
And just for a clip for purposes, this is just based for your 2024
This
projection.
is just
That's
like,
it.
who's going to have a better season next year? And there's 15 guys I just couldn't. I actually probably would put him closer to 20th, but there were 3 or 4 guys I said I could make an argument that Deshaun could have a better year than those guys. But here's 15 guys that I can't make an argument for Deshaun having a better year than, in my opinion. Mahomes 1, Lamar 2, Josh Allen 3, Justin Herbert 4, Matthew Stafford 5. Now you can argue Matthew Stafford, I guess, because he's older.
And Herbert.
He was just so good.
I can argue Herbert too.
Also, what?
I can also argue Justin Herbert.
I can't see it, but okay. Everybody's entitled to their own opinion. Dak 6, Stroud 7, Trevor Lawrence 8. I'm sure there are people that argue that. 9 Burrow, 10 Love, 11 Kirk Cousins, 12 Jared Goff, 13 Aaron Rodgers, 14 Jalen Hurts. Sorry, I took out Cousins. So 13 Jalen Hurts, 14 Brock Purdy, and 15 Tua. Those are the 15 guys I can't make an argument. Now, there's probably a couple that you can of those guys.
Trevor Lawrence, you could make an argument for.
Yeah.
You could also take a look at, listen.
Purdy?
Purdy's a guy.
Tua?
Dak
Tua
Prescott.
threw for 4,600 yards last year.
Dak Prescott.
Purdy. I think it's 4 or 5 guys you can make
an argument for Deshaun having a better season.
I think it's 4 or 5 guys that you can make an argument for.
Yeah.
So, I mean, depending on the argument, I don't think where me and you have him is kind of out of line. Because Bull got him at 16. If you made the argument for 4 dudes.
If you can make an argument for a couple of dudes. And you got to think about it this too, Bull.
Yeah.
They're going to throw the ball more. If they throw like last year, you got to think. I mean, their offense was not like, oh, let's throw the ball downfield or anything.
Yeah.
If you throw the ball 5 to 8 more times a game,
Yeah.
his yardage could theoretically be, even if he's playing medium sauce, 3,800 yards.
I hope he can. I was excited as anybody when the Browns traded for Deshaun Watson. I still had a lot of faith going into it. I've lost a lot of my faith in him. I think I think we're living too much off that second half against the Ravens because nothing else he's done in Cleveland has impressed me.
Nothing?
Nothing outside of that second half.
I thought he played good against Titans too.
He did play good in that game, but that was the only game that he threw for a good completion percentage. Like, this guy was known for his accuracy, and he hasn't been very accurate here. Now, I know a lot of things have factored in. His mental state, the time off, the injuries, these all factor in. But when I make my projections going forward, I got to factor those things into at least some degree.
Let me ask you this
question. They're not going to all disappear, I don't think.
Let me ask you this question.
Yeah.
If you just put T. Higgins on this roster,
Yep.
would you have more confidence in him?
No. And here's why. My confidence is that my dipping confidence is that he's had a lot of injuries and missed so much time.
Okay.
That I think that plays into it. That he has somewhat lost that guy he was. And when I watched him play over the last 2 years, he never looked. When I saw him play in Houston, he looked special. I watched him play and I said, "That's a special quarterback." And I have not seen that here. I just haven't. Now, you could argue that you've seen it. For me, I haven't. The Baltimore second half, maybe, and that's it.
Could you also take in consideration that maybe that what the Haslams are seeing is the fact that, all right, he hasn't looked great, but what we was running and what Houston was running is two different things.
Listen, all these things could play a role. I didn't say I have zero confidence in him bouncing back, and that's why there's confidence. I was just, when the Browns traded for him, I was 100% certain he was going to be great for the Browns. And then going into last year, I was still like 90% certain he was going to be great for the Browns. And now I'm like, all right, it's 50-50. And even the 50% that thinks he can be really good still, I thought when the Browns traded for him, he could be, outside of Mahomes, the best quarterback in the NFL. That's gone. And again, I hope I'm wrong. I don't see any way he gets into that group anymore. Could I see him be in the next group, 6 to 10, 6 to 12? Yeah, I think it's 50-50 he can get into that group, and that's good enough. But what I imagined him being for the Browns, I now don't think he can ever be as good as I thought he would. I still think he can be good, but I'm even not as confident in that. Again, and time will tell.
I think sometimes when we talk about it in terms of we were sold that every single quarterback, if you're a franchise quarterback, it don't matter who your coach is, it don't matter what your weapons look like, you gonna make everybody better and you can just have that person and win. I've never bought into that concept. I believe that there's a few special people in the world that can get that done, but for the majority of people,
but I thought he was one of those guys.
Yeah, so here's the thing.
That's what I thought.
So I think
thought he was that guy.
And so that disappointment hits you, and you're like, well, listen, I thought he was going to be that. Well, if he turns out he's not that, but guess what? You can win being a top 6 guy. You just need to have the right offense, a good coach. You got to have some weapons, and you got to be able to win in a different way.
Yo, real quick, Mike, before the read, I think we was doing one of our first episodes of Behind the Glass. And I told Mike, for me, Deshaun Watson's success in Cleveland will never be measured in stats, right? To me, it's going to be measured in those key moments in big games. To me, a franchise quarterback, no matter how the game has went throughout the game, but when it's crunch time and when it's winning time, if he can go out there on the football field and take us on a game-winning touchdown drive, then okay, cool. And if you could do that more often than not, that's how I'm going to measure you. Because at the end of the day, we've talked all the time. Deshaun Watson was brought here for those few moments throughout the season when you need your quarterback to be a game changer and make a big play to go get you a dub.
And for 2 years, he hasn't been
And so, like, again, when we talk about recency bias, the last time I saw Deshaun Watson, he did that, right?
No, he didn't. He didn't get a touchdown that last drive.
But he took us on a game-winning drive.
But you said a game-winning touchdown
My whole
drive.
point, boy, I mean, you could try to paraphrase what I said.
No,
I spoke improper. But my bottom line is he led us on a drive that ultimately led us to winning the football game, right? Yeah. And that's what franchise quarterbacks do.
But one time in 2 years is not enough.
I don't know how many game-winning drives he got for the Cleveland Browns. I didn't do that type of math.
One.
I'm just telling you how I measure a quarterback. I don't care about the stats and the completion percentage and this, that, and the third. I personally don't care about that. I ain't saying nothing new.
So you care more about one comeback win.
I'm just telling you what I said before this last season even started. I will never measure Deshaun Watson based on how many passing yards and this, that, and the third. Is he leading the Browns to victories? And is he leading us on game-winning drives when we needed the most?
He led you a
That's
one
the
victory.
only thing I care about.
We got to leave it there. We got our guest. We'll talk. Obviously, this won't be the last of this conversation.
We come back to this,
Go ahead,
in a sec.
Mike.
We're going to bring in our guest after a quick word from FanDuel. You can get buckets this NBA season with FanDuel, America's #1 sportsbook. And right now, new customers get $150 in bonus bets with any winning $5 bet. That's $150 if your bet wins. You can bet on all your favorite NBA teams and players on FanDuel with quick bets, live same-game parlays, parlays, exclusive props, and so much more. Just visit FanDuel.com/UCSS and shoot your shot. FanDuel, an official sportsbook partner of the NBA. And now we are thrilled to welcome on Matthew Hamachek, the director and executive producer of the Dynasty New England Patriots. The new 10-part docuseries premieres this Friday on 216 Day on Apple TV+. The first 2 episodes released on Friday. And here is the director and executive producer, Matthew Hamachek. And part of the first episode revolves around Bill Belichick's time here in Cleveland. Matthew, thank you for taking some time to hang out with us today.
Hey, thanks for having me on. I really appreciate it.
Yeah, Matthew, let's dive right into that, because obviously some fans in Cleveland, you know, we're a huge football town, so some fans might be interested in this documentary because it's about Bill Belichick, it's about the Patriots dynasty. But specifically for Cleveland, as Mike just mentioned, that it starts with his years in Cleveland. What would your recap of his time in Cleveland look like?
Well, I would quote, Jackie Mack, the great sports journalist in Boston, and she sort of described it as an underwhelming stint as a head coach. And so I think the reason that we really dive into that story in the series, especially in episode 1, is because in New England at the time, what you had was a quarterback who was the $100 million quarterback, the big star basically on a team that was not doing that well in Drew Bledsoe, who had gone down with a horrific injury against the Jets earlier in the 2001 season. And then he gets cleared to come back. And meanwhile, this young unknown named Tom Brady has basically been out there, and he's been doing pretty well, but against the Rams against one of the opponents that year, hadn't done great, and Belichick had a really tough call to make. And the reason that the Cleveland story is so relevant is because Belichick sort of faced a similar decision with Kosar in Cleveland and what to do there, because as I recall from the stories that we were told in the series, I think Kosar had broken his leg or hurt his ankle or something like that, and when he came back, he just wasn't as mobile and wasn't as good as he was. And that led to this press conference where Bill says something to the effect of, it was a decision because of his diminishing physical skills. And then you see the way that decision is reacted to by people in Cleveland, both journalists and fans alike. And, a few years later eventually leads, to art moving and the reaction to that. So that's the reason we focused on it. And it was a really interesting story to tell relative to the decision that Bill had to make with Drew Bledsoe and Tom Brady.
Matt, I look at it, and you take a look at those early years with Belichick, and one of the things that stands out is his coaching staff and the people that came from it. Nick Saban, you have, I believe, Kurt Ferentz was on that staff. I think maybe even Gruden might have been cut their teeth. Jim Schwartz was under Bill Belichick as well as a staff assistant. And it just seems like with the Browns, it was an experiment that was a little early before its time, didn't really have time to really gel and to see it through. And a lot of people, have always thought, you go back and look at it and say, man, what would have it been if they would have had time, if they would have been able to do it? And then obviously the team moves. Did you get the perception that he looks back at that time and says, that was a great experiment. If we would have had time to do what we needed to do you think they would have been successful in Cleveland?
I have no doubt that Bill probably looks at it that way. But you mentioned all these people that came through that system in Cleveland. The thing that I think about are people like Ernie Adams, who was there in Cleveland and then went and worked with Bill in New England for 20 years. Also Scott Pioli, who was there, who ended up becoming the vice president of player personnel with the New England Patriots. And both of these guys have never really gone on the record about Cleveland or about their time with the New England Patriots. And to have access to them, Ernie Adams in particular, we had 15 hours of interviews with him. And I think both of them, along with Bill's interview in our series, really gave us great insight to the way that the coaching staff looked at all of these things. And they took us into the rooms when they were making these tough choices And those choices sometimes led to great success, like the choice to go with Tom Brady early on. They also take us into the room when there are choices being made that ultimately lead to the unraveling of the Patriots dynasty.
Matt, for me, you know, I was a kid, like I was damn near a baby when Bill Belichick coached here in Cleveland. Based on the people that you've talked to, even if you've talked to Bill Belichick himself, how do people? I know you said on the coaching aspect, it's kind of like an incomplete, or he didn't get the job done. But does he ever speak about like how he enjoyed Cleveland, didn't enjoy Cleveland? Is there some bitterness there, or is this like one of those places that, you know what, I wish I can kind of seen it all the way through?
You know, the truth is, I didn't go that much into depth with about his time in Cleveland with him. A lot of what we're using there is archive that we found, and I think what's so remarkable about the footage that we found is he, you know, by the time he got to the Patriots, I think, you know, he was a little bit more closed off. His press conferences became more of the "we're on to Cincinnati," you know, kind of one-word, two-word sentences kind of thing. But in Cleveland, what you see is a guy who would invite local sports personalities in to film with him for a while and be there in team meetings, be there at practices. And he really opened up and gave access to people at that time. And, you know, one of the things that somebody told me that isn't actually in the doc is that moment that when Bill says the stuff at that press conference about Kosar and the reaction to it and how much vitriol there was for that is one of the reasons that Bill sort of developed the personality that he did in New England, right? Because he learned his lesson that when you get up in front of the press, even if what you say is the honest truth, it sometimes has negative repercussions. So why get up there and continue to say these things that you know that are going to burn you in the end? So I think there's a lot of lessons from Cleveland. But obviously, the story that I was telling wasn't the Cleveland story, so we were only able to go into a little bit of it.
Once again, you can check out the Dynasty New England Patriots on Apple TV+. It debuts this Friday, February 16th. Matt, we'll get you out on this one, but you spent time with Brady, with Belichick in your previous work. You helped direct and produce a documentary on Tiger Woods. Is there any common thread of greatness you picked up from working with those three individuals? Robert Kraft as well, if you want to go forward. But any common personality traits or characteristics you picked up that all four of those all-time greats all had?
Yeah, work ethic. I mean, it's a simple answer, and you know, every other team in the league, you know, and fan base in the league looked at the Patriots with envy, and I know personally a little bit of jealousy on my part for what they were able to accomplish. But in the end, what I've realized is that it was due to an incredible amount of hard work and determination, and it's something to be admired.
Matthew, appreciate it, man. Great. Best of luck. We'll be all watching on Apple TV+. Can't wait. Thanks, man. Appreciate it.
Thank you so much. I appreciate you having me on.
You got it.
Awesome.
Mike?
Thank you, Matt. Once again, that debuts on Friday, the Dynasty of the New England Patriots. You can find it on Apple TV+. The second episode of the Ultimate Cavs Show is up online on YouTube right now. It's also on podcast form. The second episode of the Ultimate 216 Show debuts tomorrow with Earl the Pearl. Make sure you guys tune into that. All of the Ultimate Cleveland Sports Shows, full episodes, and special team shows are also available via podcast if you can't watch it live and you want to listen to it on a
50,000 before the season starts?
Yes.
I think we got to remember that the majority of people in Cleveland, certainly myself included, even for those who don't believe me, we all want, or most of us want, Deshaun Watson to succeed. Everybody wants him to play well, but I think the debate is how much has he proven?
I mean, like you said, the majority. I feel like this. If you're a Cleveland Browns fan, if you're a true Cleveland Browns fan, and you don't like Deshaun Watson to the point to where you don't want to see him be successful, then you're a fool, because his success helps the Cleveland Browns become more successful.
Ultimately, yes.
So
There's always going to be – you don't have to like every player on your team, but you should want them to succeed. I think that's – otherwise you're not really a fan. Go ahead, Mike.
Well, speaking of players everybody likes, we're going to talk a little Nick Chubb here. There's no dissension on whether you
there.
like, don't like. Everyone is a big fan of Nick Chubb. I want you guys to put yourself in Andrew Berry's shoes. You have a list of offseason priorities. It could be 1 to 2 points long. It could be 55 points long. That doesn't matter for the discussion we're about to have here. Where does reworking and figuring out the Nick Chubb contract situation, rank on your list of offseason priorities if you, Bull, G, Earl, if you guys were Andrew Berry? Where does figuring out the Nick Chubb situation rank?
Go ahead,
for you?
Earl. You go first. Start us off.
For me, it'll be third. I need an impact wide receiver. I need an impact defensive tackle. The reason why it would be third is because he's already under contract. But I'm doing everything in my power. I think his cap hit this upcoming season is 15.8. I'm doing everything in my
16.4.
power to rework that deal, to give him a 4-year deal to ensure that he retires a Cleveland Brown. I think Nick Chubb is arguably the best player on this team, and I think he's one of the best people inside this entire franchise. You know, they talk about smart, like accountable and tough and hardworking and all that other stuff. He's the epitome of everything that you want and the culture change that you want in a player on a football field. Every time that you hear Andrew Berry speak about Nick Chubb, it's almost like he's talking about one of his kids, right? You know, we talk a lot about the running back position being devalued. And I've heard Andrew Berry say, yeah, certain running backs are certain running backs, but Nick Chubb is kind of the exception to that rule. I think how he's viewed in this organization is very, very high. Like, to me, like, he probably got more juice than Paul D. Podesta. We all know Paul D. Podesta got a lot of juice. So I will put it third on the list simply because he's already under contract. Go get me an impact wide receiver. Go get me a young stud defensive tackle. And then make sure that my running back is locked up so for the rest of his career. We seen a running game struggle, you know, as the season went on without Nick Chubb. He's very important inside this organization and on the football field.
G?
I'm going to move with it. I like what Earl said. So, you know me, I'm an Operation Stockpile. I not only need to figure out for Nick Chubb, I need to figure out some more room so I can get me I want another running back. I've already decided I was looking around last night. I was fixing me some ramen noodles. Shouldn't be eating that with all that salt. My
Chicken
doctor-
flavor?
Huh?
Chicken flavor?
Yeah, chicken flavor. And by the way, nobody can make your ramen noodles. Everybody got it different. You know what I'm
Facts.
saying?
No,
Listen,
facts.
Don't.
Facts.
My wife be like, let me make you some. No.
Don't you touch my noodles, fam.
I do that for myself. But long story short is, I need to allocate some money for not Chubb, but that running back room. Listen, I'm not into experimenting. Jerome Ford is a nice third back. He's a third back. I'm not trying to see maybe he'll get better. I need a bona fide guy to go with Nick Chubb so I could give him the carries. When Nick Chubb was good, guess who else was good? Kareem Hunt was in his prime. And that's when you saw prime Chubb when you go back to them Baker years when they did go to the playoffs, 2020. I need another running back. And by the way, I go redo his contract because the number one priority is wide receiver. So them doing that, freeing up some money, now gives me a little bit of time and energy and money to go get my wide receiver. So to me, I think it's the number one priority. I think, you know, it deserves to be the number one priority because it is Nick Chubb. He is probably the best person on your football team. And the one thing that I look at the Cleveland Browns and I look at a lot of people, and this is why I get angry sometimes. Don't look at one or two people that you may not like and say, I'm not going to support the Cleveland Browns. There is the fact that Nick Chubb is the epitome of what all of y'all posers, y'all be lying. Y'all be like, we want guys to give the football back to the referee. We don't want guys on social media. We don't want guys doing this in the club. We don't want guys showing their flaunting their. This guy does all that and above, and yet and still, the thing that irks me is, oh, he not worth $16 million? Even if they don't redo the contract. My thing is, y'all gave Jack Conklin all that doggone money, and he ain't half the person Nick Chubb is. Don't be telling me about how Nick Chubb got to give money back, and Jack Conklin has been on the gravy train. He's a steak eater. Listen, Nick Chubb is a bus driver. That man, if you got to pay him the 16, we're going to find out that we're going to get it from somebody else.
Pay him the 16.
Pay him the 16. All that other stuff. Don't tell me about how you champion all this. No. If that's what you respect, show the man the respect. Now you want him to give some money back because why? You made a mistake on Conklin?
I would argue that most people would agree that Jack Conklin was a mistake. I don't think there was anybody arguing for Jack Conklin getting the money that he got. Mike, here's the thing. We've talked about a lot when it comes to all sports about analytics, right? And I always said I think it's important to balance heart or gut and analytics, right? That the best teams have both working hand in hand. I don't know that that's always easy to do because sometimes those work against each other, right? The analytics will tell you that Nick Chubb is not far from going over the cliff based on traditional running backs. It will also tell you that it's insane to pay $16 million for a running back because no team has, like, look at, you have that tweet, Mike?
I'll give it 1 second.
Most teams that, if you look at the Super Bowl teams, most of them, the running back takes up an extremely small percentage of their cap. I think all of them, right? Let's see this list.
You
You
take
got
it full.
it?
Yep, and take it full. This is from Marcus Mosier, the cap hit of the running backs of the Super Bowl winning teams since 2009.
Only the Super Bowl winners.
Correct.
Because
Super Bowl
McCaffrey
winners.
was probably higher. Now, I can't read this because my eyes aren't good enough to read that small. What's the highest percentage of a Super Bowl winner in the last 15 years?
Marshawn Lynch in 2013, 6.2% of the cap.
Okay. Now, at $16 million, the cap's going to be what, about $250 next year?
I don't want to say yes.
I think it's going to be like $250. It's supposed to go up pretty high. So at $16 million, that you're talking what? That's about 6, 9, 12.
The estimated cap's 242.
242? All right, so that's about 150. What's that?
It's
Is more than-
15%.
how much percent?
About 15%.
If he gets paid $16 million.
I just did 242 divided by 16.
Bengal fandom, he's one of probably my 10, maybe 5 favorite players ever in football. That's how much I like Nick Chubb. So I have to try to leave that out of it because there's a part of me that says, you can't pay this guy $16 million. That's crazy. You can't pay anybody, any running back $16 million. It's just not worth it. Now, ultimately, I don't think I'll have to make that decision because I think Nick Chubb will understand that if the Browns did cut him, which we hope they wouldn't do, nobody's paying him $16 million.
You don't think so?
No chance. No chance. I mean, who's the last running back that got paid that kind of money? McCaffrey.
I think so, yeah.
And McCaffrey's a little younger.
Saquon got 12 to avoid the salary cap.
Saquon got 12, okay? And that was just a 1-year deal. Nobody coming off the injury, like Nick Chubb might not even be ready for the start of the season.
Right.
No way he's getting paid $16 million.
We paying guards 13.
G?
Like
I hear both y'all. I mean, Condon has been hurt plenty of times.
Let me ask you this. Now, first of all, when this is all over, I'm going to make the case that you have to keep Nick Chubb. But along the way, let me just say that if they did cut him, no other team's paying him $16 million. You know that. There's no way they're paying $16 million to a running back who's not going to be ready for the start of the season or may not.
Sometimes y'all, you can't be so transactional. This is not a transactional move. Here's my problem.
Okay, 7%.
Right.
It's a big difference.
Right.
I did the math wrong. I was trying to do it quick. I just did. It's 7%
That's not
of the
crazy.
cap.
Okay.
But here's the thing. He's a reasonable dude. And as Earl said, you've got to extend this contract. So here's what I'd say to Nick Chubb. Here's what I'd say to Nick Chubb. I'm going to give you a 4-year deal. I like your. Now, he's probably not going to be any good by that 4th year, but I'm going to give him a 4-year deal. I'm going to guarantee him the first 2 years. Guaranteed money the first 2 years, in which he will make he'll get $12 million guaranteed, and then another $4 million that he can likely make as long as he's healthy. Okay. Right? I'm making the whole contract roughly $24 million over 4 years. Now you may say, well, that's not enough. He's a great back. He's been a great back. I still think he can be. I would build in incentives there where, hey, Nick Chubb stays healthy, has a great season, wins rushing title, we can make more money and more money. But in terms of guarantees, I would guarantee him $12 million over 2 years with incentive to make more the next 2 years, and then I tack on 2 years on the contract beyond that we will see not guaranteed. And I think he would take it. I don't know, maybe I'm crazy. I think he would take it because Nick Chubb loves playing for the Browns, and I think he sees that as good as he is. And this now you're right. There's part of me that's like this team cannot not have Nick Chubb. I cannot envision a scenario. I don't want to envision a scenario where Nick Chubb is on this roster. I believe he has to be here, and I think the Browns feel that way, which is why ultimately maybe he'll get a little more money than that. But Nick Chubb is the ultimate team guy. He knows what the running back market looks like. Running backs on the free agent market get nothing. And as great as he is, that injury is a big factor. And he's 8?
He's 28.
28.
At 28, coming off an injury, nobody's paying him big guaranteed money. I'm saying the Browns will guarantee him 2 years. At a lesser money, but they guarantee him 2 years. That would be good. And then I put incentives in there where maybe he can make as much as $20 million over the next year.
Here's the thing that I think the Browns have to get to. You know, we give and we sit here and we praise these other teams. We praise the Ravens. We praise the Steelers. We talk about how all these people, the Miami Heat, have a culture. The Cleveland Browns have been jokes for the most part of 40 years.
Yes.
For me, I even thought about it when I went home. Kevin Stefanski won a Coach of the Year again. That's 2 in 4 years. Why ain't he got a contract?
There was a report over the last few days. I don't know how much you guys talked about it. That he's going to get one, but he hasn't.
But here's how you show people respect and how you show them that you are valued. Coach of the Year, boom, the money on the table. No waiting. We got a protocol. We do it like this. No, when I look at the Ravens, Ray Lewis played for one team.
Right.
Ed Reed played for one team.
Right.
When they got Jonathan Ogden, he was their tackle forever. And they made sure that at the end of their career, they knew where they were. And that builds culture. That builds who you are. Now when free agents come, they say, look, this is how we treat our family members. When you are a generational type player, we respect what you gave to the team. We respect what you did. And now teams value you. Free agents will say, well, look, I might take a little less to go play for the Browns because of the way they treat their people.
Look at running back, right? Like Derrick Henry's been a great player. He's probably going to play for another team next year.
Derrick Henry ain't Chubb.
No, listen.
But Andrew Berry made that very clear, though. He don't look at Nick Chubb like everybody else look at the running back position.
You can't take what he says at a press conference as like, well, that's a fact.
I mean, I can only take what he said on face value.
Well,
I can't twist his words. He said what he said. That's all I can go off of.
It's meaningless. He's not. If he was thinking about cutting Nick Chubb, would he admit it now?
I don't know.
Of course, no, he's not going to admit that.
It's one of them things where you cannot afford to see Nick Chubb in another jersey.
Listen, I'm not arguing. My argument is not to cut Nick Chubb. I can't cut Nick Chubb. He has to be on this team. But you're not going to pay him $16 million. So they got to find. That's up to them.
Right.
That's up to them. They got to figure out the money. I think Nick Chubb will be here. I think they find the money. In the end, if I had to pay him $16 million, I don't think he's actually getting paid $16 million. I think that's just a cap hit, right?
I think what Bull is saying is strictly from a football player standpoint. I think where me and G is coming from, let's take the football and let's add that with who Nick Chubb is, the man, and how important he is to the organization. And so for that reason, it's like,
well, Earl, we're all
he got to call his own shot. Yeah, we all saying the same thing, but
I'm saying if it wasn't for that stuff, I would cut him probably. If he wasn't Nick Chubb, if he was just random running back,
right,
who had the same career, but he wasn't this guy, I'd say let's just move on and find a new guy. But because he's Nick Chubb, I got to find a way to keep him, even if I have to overpay him a little.
The Browns are a little unorthodox, right? Like when they looked at the way they evaluate things, people didn't like that Njoku deal a couple of years ago.
That's true, and
it turned out to be okay, right? They're paying Amari Cooper a lot of money.
Yeah.
People will say, why would you pay Amari Cooper? Like, y'all got to have to find
Well, they absorbed that contract.
Right.
You know what I'm saying? That came with him.
But here's the thing. Yeah. But people was talking about that last year. They got to figure out something. Yeah. And then Amari Cooper was like, no, I'm the all-time leading receiver in the game. You're not
because they're going to be having the same conversation about Amari. I think Amari's cap hit is somewhere around $20 million.
I don't want to debate about how much they should pay him. Ultimately, that's up to the Browns to figure out. I think we're all in agreement. You got to have Nick Chubb.
Got to have him on his roster.
And I would make that the first priority only because I can deal with that now.
Right.
Like, I don't have to wait. Getting a wide receiver or, as you suggested, another defensive lineman, I can't do that for another month. I can deal with Nick Chubb right now. I can restructure his contract. I can figure out a way. And I think if you can guarantee Nick Chubb money for 2 years, maybe even 3, even if it's less money per year, it makes sense for all sides.
What if Andrew Berry, I ain't restructuring nothing, Tomas restructured?
To what?
Until his contract is done.
Oh, yeah.
What if he's sitting there I ain't doing nothing else?
Well, Deshaun Watson.
Tomas is taken care of.
Deshaun Watson can, come out. Yeah, I think Tom Brady had really great publicity when he did this. Tom Brady as well as Michael Jordan, as well as LeBron James, have been the best people in their sport by a landslide. Like they're up here, to everybody else down here. But you know what they never were? They were never the highest paid people in the game. Jordan played 1 year for $30 million, but he was never the highest paid. LeBron talks about it all the time. I could have got a jillion dollars, whatever the case may be. Deshaun Watson, he could come out and be like, look, we're going to make sure that we're going to keep our guys and we're going to get some more. You know how we're going to guarantee that? I don't care. They got to kick the can down the road 70 years and give me the Bobby Bonilla deal. Like, we need to have the Shohei Ohtani. We need that money to get people.
Well, I mean, listen, I've been very critical of Jimmy Haslam, in my opinion, deservedly so. But the one thing I credit him for is he spends, right?
Yes.
If it wasn't for that, there'd be nothing good about him. But the Browns, forget the cap, because the Browns actually have cap room. They won't for next year. They'll have to do some things. But in terms of money spent, because there's a difference between money spent and cap hit.
Yes.
Right? Because all these things they do. In terms of money spent on the roster, I believe the Browns actually spent the most money on their roster in 2023, right?
That is a fact.
And I think they're probably going to be that way in 24 also.
If they restructure the deals, they have to pay it up front. So I can't imagine all the restructures upcoming,
so
especially Watson and some other guys.
As long as you're willing to continue to kick the can down the road, there is a lot of flexibility with the cap. But that doesn't necessarily mean you want to pay every guy over the top. But it does mean there's still flexibility to do all these things.
I'm just thankful I got an owner who don't care nothing about writing that type of check, right? As long as Jimmy Haslam is willing to write the check for the Cleveland Browns to be competitive and have a chance to win the Super Bowl, then to me, he a good owner. That's just me.
Well,
just me.
He got to overwrite them checks.
That's just my opinion.
Listen, I think he's a terrible owner, but we're not. We'll debate that another day because just spending money doesn't make you good.
No, but you give.
The Dodgers have spent the most money. They've won one World Series in 40 years.
All I'm saying is,
that was in a COVID year.
He gives everybody in this building everything that they need to go be successful.
No, he doesn't.
From a financial standpoint.
Only from a financial standpoint.
Just do that part.
But he does a lot of things to hurt them.
Here's the way I
take the bad with the good.
Here's why. Listen,
why do you have to have the bad? Can't you just have the good?
I would give.
Not according to 3-6 Mafia.
I would give. I don't got no problem giving my money to go support the Browns if financially they're like, look, we are willing to put, like for the Dodgers, look, there's a reason why they can get the cable deal they can get, right? Mm-hmm. Because it's the Dodgers. And every single year, even if we don't win, they are doing everything in their pocketbooks to make sure that you're never going to say the Dodgers roster is lacking. They may not get it done in the end, but they ain't lacking. And the fact that the Browns, I'll give it to them. When you got your offensive line and all of them is making a shout out to the guards and tackle. I mean, they picked Jed Wills up 5th year. They gave Conklin a new deal. Your guards is getting 12, 13 apiece. They signed poachers.
Yeah.
We can't hate on that.
They're spending a lot of money there. Yeah. There's no doubt. There's no complaint with the money spent. But I think in the end, we're all in agreement, Mike. Nick Chubb has to be on this team. Nobody wants to see him in another uniform.
Yeah, it would not be good.
I would rather as much as I love Myles Garrett, if you said, okay, only one of those two guys, Myles Garrett or Nick Chubb, can spend their whole career in Browns uniform, who would you take? I would take Nick Chubb. As much as I love Myles Garrett, too.
I ain't going to lie, I'm taking Nick Chubb.
Hey, man.
That's a tough one for you, G.
I ain't even going to hold you.
Man, listen, y'all, man, look, can we have both?
We can, but I'm putting you in a tough spot here, in a bad scenario. You had to choose.
I think Myles Garrett going to retire early. So, nah, for real. Like, I think he's
going to just go play with dinosaurs.
Weird. Like, he going to become a scientist or something. He ain't going to play. You ain't going to see Myles Garrett break down. Like,
I said play with dinosaurs as if dinosaurs still exist, by the way.
Yeah.
Well,
by the way, but does everybody know, I think there's a lot of dumb people out there, that dinosaurs and humans never coexisted? Are you aware of that?
Yeah, dinosaurs were...
On Jurassic Park,
I bet you there's a lot of people that don't know that, don't believe it.
Did you know that during the same time there was 3 or 4 species of homogeneous primates that walked Earth at the same time? Our cousins.
Some were early cousins.
Early cousins. Some with bigger brains, and we just outlived them.
And the ones with the small brains, they're living down in like Alabama.
Oh,
I'm laughing at my boys. Hey, no, seriously though, they did.
Homo erectus.
What?
Like,
That's
no,
his name.
I said on Jurassic Park they did.
That's
like,
true. On Jurassic
did.
Park, they brought the dinosaurs back.
Well, Jurassic Park was based off a real story, so yeah,
Yeah.
the movies have never lied before. Just
Yeah,
like
go-
GMs
go
and
ahead.
press
So,
conferences have
but
never
by the
lied.
way, since
Yeah.
they said I was being reverse racist in the chat,
For
but
real?
I am gonna say some reverse racist stuff. Black people ain't bringing the dinosaurs back. That was you guys.
White people are bringing
Yeah,
the
we was like we was sitting there like this is a bad idea.
So I'll be going to
To me,
therapy.
black people cannot be racist, but that's the.
I'll be going to
can of
therapy
worms,
like
but
him, and my therapist
People
told
get
me I
angry.
need to stop reading the chat.
For real?
It's very unhealthy. Social media is very bad for your mental health.
Well, sometimes I just got enough energy for the chat. Sometimes
What did they call you a reverse racist for?
I think because they said that Jack Conklin was because he is a Caucasian that
Yeah.
he didn't deserve his money, but since Nick Chubb was black, he deserved his money.
Well, Nick Chubb deserves his money more than Jack Conklin. It has zero to do with their race.
Right. I didn't know where that came
But we
from.
all do see race. Don't say you don't see race because we figured you out.
you figured
But
out.
I don't think you brought that up from a white-black standpoint.
No.
I can't speak for you. But I would say my only argument to that would be that I don't think anybody thought that was a good contract either. I mean, I think I think most of the people saying you can't pay Nick Chubb that money. There were a lot more people saying you can't pay Jack Conklin that
Like
money.
my grandmother used to say, that
Yeah.
you spending good money after bad.
That's right. Yeah.
All right, guys, we're going to move on, talk a little Cavs here.
Yeah.
And if you want to score, you can score in tonight's game when the Cavs take on the Chicago Bulls if you use FanDuel, America's #1 sportsbook. And right now, new customers get $150 in bonus bets with any winning $5 bet. That's $150 if your team wins. You can bet on all your favorite NBA players and teams with FanDuel because they have quick bets, live same-game parlays, exclusive props, and so much more. Just visit FanDuel.com/UCSS to shoot your shot. FanDuel, an official partner of the NBA, an official partner of the Ultimate Cleveland Sports Show. Jason Lloyd and I discussed this last night on the Ultimate Cavs Show, and it's something you actually mentioned in the chat maybe a week ago, Bull. So I wanted to give you guys an opportunity. G,
the chat.
lifelong Cavs fan, Earl, lifelong Cavs fan. When you look at this current Cavs roster, this current iteration of the Cleveland Cavaliers, 2023-2024, winners of 17 of their last 19 games, is this the best non-LeBron James Cavs team you've ever seen? Or does that title go to the late 80s, early 90s Cleveland Cavaliers teams?
I don't want to. First of all, the Duke and knee jerk, I was about to say, of course. I was just going to jump right on. Yeah, these are who they had back in the. I ain't going to disrespect them like that. Let's be clear. Them teams in the 80s.
In the 90s, too, they had some good teams.
Decent teams in the 90s. Yeah, I can't disrespect them like that. I mean, the Cavs was a really good team. Like, you know what I'm saying? They just ran into that buzzsaw. There was a lot of good teams back then. You know what I'm saying? So I really can't disrespect those dudes. And they get, buzzer beaters by Michael Jordan. And those teams played against Bird, Magic, Isaiah Thomas, Dominique Wilkins, Patrick Ewing, some of the best top 50 guys of all time. I can't disrespect them and just be putting Karis LeVert and them up there. Like Sam Merrill, I love Sam Merrill. I can't put Sam Merrill over Mark Price and be like, yo, this is the best I've ever seen.
Yeah.
Because that would be kind of like, I don't want to get disrespectful. That's kind of disrespectful. They put a lot of work in, and them teams was a couple shots away from going to finals and competing.
So those teams won 3 playoff series.
The Cavs' history without LeBron
There's only 4
are
series
4-14 in the playoffs.
4-14 in series.
In series, yeah, 4-14.
Yeah,
in
4-14. And those teams with Doherty, Price, Nance.
Yeah, they won 1 in the 70s, and then
Right.
3.
And those teams won 3.
Yes.
They went to the conference finals, I think, once.
in the
And the
80s. and then-
semis once.
Yes.
Off the top of the head, they got rid of they retired Larry Bird. I believe in 90 something. They retired him. They won that series. They won a series against Drazen Petrovic in the Nets.
Oh, he was a good
He
player.
was nice.
Why you put it that way? He said the Cavs retired Larry
Oh,
Bird.
they retired
I was
him.
like, wait, what? What
They
you
retired. They got him. He
I
was
think Larry Bird's
back.
retired.
He was sitting on the and then they. But other than that, I can't think of the other series they won off the top of my head. But yeah.
By the way, they need to do. You know how they have the Showtime show with Magic Johnson. Even though a lot of the players don't like it, I think it's been good. They need to do. And there is Larry Bird is in that. I don't know if you guys have watched it, but they have somebody playing Larry Bird. They need to do a Larry Bird one too, because I am fascinated when I hear other mostly Lakers players, but other players of his era talk about Larry Bird and like the trash talking he did, and he would get if you put a white guy on Larry Bird, he would get pissed off.
Yeah, he was like
Every time he'd yell at the other
felt
coach.
disrespected.
He felt disrespected.
My dad told me about that.
So funny to me.
I was born in '87, so
Yeah.
the Cavs teams of the '80s I know nothing about. So
Yeah.
for me, I think this current team is the best non-LeBron team ever. I think that
Wait, you're making that declaration now?
he asked your opinion, is this the
Okay.
best non-LeBron
He said he
team
ain't
that
seen him.
he said that you ever saw? I
Yeah.
was not alive to see those other
Wow.
teams. How can I make a
Did you
declaration?
say that you had to see them?
It's funny, Earl, that was literally my argument. I was like, I can't argue for an 80s team that I wasn't alive for.
Well,
like
I
people
mean,
be wanting you know
well,
how I'm
here's
arguing
what I
for something I
did.
didn't see.
There's no. I mean, the Cavs
Well, no,
haven't
but
had
here's-
any good teams
here's-
when you guys have been alive.
Earl, here's
besides
what I
LeBron.
did, and if you agree with this, piggyback off. If you disagree, you can disagree. Here's my argument yesterday, Jason. I didn't watch those 80s and 90s team because I was not alive,
Yeah.
and also not alive when they won all three. So I physically was unable to watch. So I've gone back, I've seen some clips. I looked at the makeup of those teams and compared it to the makeup of this year's Cavs team to see if they had the requisite pieces to compete at the highest level. In the 80s and 90s, different era, so took that into consideration. Although I disagree that the Cavs have the most important ingredients of a championship DNA in today's NBA, I also think the Cavs of the 80s, 90s lack that number one ingredient. And I think when you look at the totality and depth of this year's Cavs roster, they have a better case of making a deep, deep playoff run than those 80s, 90s teams did.
Well, I mean, those teams. First of all, you're out of pocket if you say this team is better now.
Yes.
If you say that they could be better, okay, I can
This has
listen
the
to that.
potential to be the best.
Potential, fine. Earl said they're better already, and there's no way you could say that because they haven't won anything.
So that's crazy.
Those teams at least won 3 playoff series.
I mean, and by the way, with that rationale,
yeah.
there would be half the country that can never say Michael Jordan's the best player. If you were born in '88 and you,
Yeah, right.
You didn't. I mean,
Yeah, I don't
you
like
couldn't say that. Like, and
now
then,
it's hard to judge, and like, you know, I was living in New York. I mean, I wasn't watching a ton of Cavs basketball.
Right.
Bad job
at
out
that
of
time.
you, bro. Bad
But
job out of you. You knew you were going to have
I
this job in
remember those
2024.
teams.
Watch the Cavs in the 80s. You knew this was going to be your future.
I would disagree. Like, what are you saying they didn't have that they needed?
You go back to those teams in the late 80s, early 90s, and that was the uber physical, dominant, but you had to have the one guy who, when push came to shove, it was the pre-Michael Jordan, but
Right.
Joe Dumars in that era, and Mark Price, who was way before his time. I don't think was that caliber.
Yeah, but Brad
of-
Daugherty was a great player.
but if you take a look at the rosters and you set aside Donovan Mitchell and you put him over here and like Donovan, you're really good, and you start going down numbers for numbers on the rest of these cats, Darius Garland is not better than Mark Price.
No chance.
Not at all.
Yeah, who's arguing that though?
But I'm just saying. And Brad Daugherty.
Don't get out of pocket. Brad Daugherty's better than either of these guys.
Brad Daugherty was better than Mobley or Allen.
Now, maybe Mobley will turn out to be better at some point.
Maybe.
But not right. Brad Daugherty was a stud.
I mean, Larry Nance was like a 7-foot small forward. Like, the Cavs had ball players. Like, don't get it twisted. Like, they was nice. Like,
I cannot put this team. I think could this team potentially be better? I think potential possible
because Donovan is there.
That's what I was trying to say. But you cut me off when I was making my point.
Go ahead.
There you go.
I was not born in the '80s. I don't know much about those teams.
Yeah.
But as I look at this team, this is the best non-LeBron team I've seen. I think this team
I
has
know,
the
but the argument
potential
needs
to be. I'm just answering that based on
Mike,
how
you
the
shouldn't
question was
ask that
posed.
question
Like
that way.
Well, hey, you
Because
asked the
there's no-
question. It was
if
your
the only
question
argument
first
is I didn't
off.
see them play. Well, that's not.
Well, then
you
does
know.
that have the potential to be? Earl, does this team have potential to win more than 2 playoff series?
Yeah.
Because I guess
Absolutely.
that is the exact equivalent to what the 80s, 90s team did. They have to win 3
This
playoff
team
series.
lost a playoff series last year where they were the favorites. I can't remember. Like, did Nance, Daugherty, and those guys ever lose a series where they were the favorites? I don't know. I don't remember. It's so many years.
And then you'd have to talk about specifically. Listen, if you playing in that era, right?
Yeah.
And there's all these good players. I mean, these
Yeah.
are legends. These ain't like okay, I like Trae Young. Trae Young, not no legend. Like, you got Isaiah Thomas and you got, you know what I'm saying, you got John Stockton and Magic. Like, this ain't like, you know.
All right, let me ask you this question then, because I don't know. Is there any player currently on the Cleveland Cavaliers that their game can transcend and they would have been good in that era that you're talking about?
Yeah, a lot of, I think.
Like they would be.
Well, Jared Allen would have fitted well.
Jared Allen would be he would just be a regular dude down low, but I
Right.
think Donovan Mitchell would be special.
Yeah, I mean, Donovan Mitchell's a good enough player that guy that good is going to be good in any era.
Because here I think
He would have been defended harder, and people would be more physical with him. He wouldn't be able to score. And that's why you can't compare straight stats, because
Yeah,
it's much easier
stats
to
are
score
apples to
now than it was then.
there is a large contingency, like, and I know he's only been here a couple of years, but the comment Earl said is it'd be paying dividends. It looked like it'd be kind of true. Like, Donovan Mitchell might be the second best player in franchise history.
You said Mike.
He might be.
You said Mike.
He's not better than Kyrie.
Oh, that debate is
Did
a
we
lot.
just all agree last week that Kyrie was better?
Listen,
Yeah, but first of all, there is zero argument for Donovan Mitchell over Kyrie Irving right now. Zero.
why not?
Because he's won one playoff
Let me
game.
ask you something. When Kyrie was with,
You're going to make an argument for Donovan Mitchell
Watch
over
this.
Kyrie now?
watch this. Let me give you this.
That is insane.
Listen, when you had waiters, and you had all them other random Alonzo G's, the Cavs was winning 19, 20 games.
If Donovan Mitchell would play on those same guys, they would have won 19, 20 games.
Let me ask
Come
you.
on, G. He had nobody there.
Let me
Don't make it
ask
seem
you.
like Donovan Mitchell.
Let me ask you.
All that matters is the playoffs. You know it. He ain't done anything in the playoffs.
Donovan Mitchell is the best. Listen, he's the best player on the squad. When you play with LeBron,
Yeah.
you get a bump. You get a boost. Mario Chalmers was rocking back in the day.
Right, but Donovan, but players 2 through 9 versus what Kyrie played with, a million times
I
better.
will give you that. The Cavs have a
Cavs
better
were terrible.
but here's the thing too. People can give you this.
Yeah.
Kyrie Irving done played with some of the best players in the world. James Harden. He didn't play with LeBron. He didn't play with Kevin Durant. He didn't play with Luka Doncic.
Yeah.
This dude is playing with like top 10 players.
Agreed.
Donovan Mitchell is
But
playing
but
with Max Strus.
Oh, come on now. Let's not get
What?
Darius Garland was an all-star.
He was all-star before he came here.
Jared Allen's been an all-star caliber player this year. But here's the bottom line.
Okay.
The bottom line, and there's no debate here. Kyrie Irving played great in the postseason.
When it counted.
And made the biggest shot in the history of the franchise.
That is
That's
correct.
fact.
Donovan Mitchell won the
Biggest shot.
championship.
He hit the biggest shot. But if LeBron James is not on his team,
He not even
hit. You ain't got no shot to
He's
take.
not even in the
Donovan
playoffs.
Mitchell hasn't done anything.
I ain't gonna say he
You
done
can't say,
anything.
well, if LeBron
He's
wasn't-
not done anything in the playoffs, but I'm not gonna
Right.
say he's
Right,
not done
that's all that
anything since
matters.
he's been here with the
Carl,
Cavs.
that's all that matters.
What-
All that matters is what you do in the playoffs.
Yeah,
Here's the
pocket.
thing. In that jersey, in that jersey, and you talk about Kyrie. I was watching and looking at it the other day. He already didn't score more 40-point games
Bro,
than
more
everybody
40-point
in
games,
history.
most points in the Cavs history in a single game. He the only other player to win the
Guys,
Eastern
guys,
Conference
guys.
Player
This was a
of
topic
the
last week.
Month
It did not
award.
get this contentious. How,
Number one.
We did this for 20
number
minutes.
one, scoring is across the
You
board
about to-
bigger than it's ever been.
Okay.
That's so numbers are inflated.
Okay.
Number two, it's regular season.
Okay.
You can't if you say best Cavaliers ever. I don't even see where there's an argument for Donovan Mitchell.
So we just
over
gonna wipe out the
Kyrie.
regular season for every Cavalier. We gonna focus on the postseason only.
Not only, but even if you argued that Donovan Mitchell, and the season's not over, is having a better regular season than Kyrie ever had,
Yes.
which I might give you, the difference is not big enough to overcome what Kyrie's done in the playoffs versus what Mitchell's done.
Here's what
He
I'm
had LeBron though, man. It's just it
Like,
was.
So you're going to totally dismiss what he's done?
No, I'm not dismissing what he done, but he had
But it's
LeBron
different.
James.
So
Like,
what's more
different.
impressive?
It's different.
Playing great with LeBron or not playing great at all? Donovan Mitchell hasn't played great in the playoffs. He stunk last year.
But you're dismissing.
Bull is just focused on the playoffs.
Playoffs.
I'm looking at
We
his
look at
totality in the
totality.
Cavs jersey.
the totality of the
He's
uniform.
played 2 years.
That's how good he's been.
Gee, he hasn't won any big games.
Would you-
Kyrie
would
made the
you-
biggest shot in the history of the franchise.
Here's what I'm saying though. When you
Yeah.
got LeBron,
Yeah.
there's a reason why he can even get that shot off because there's 3 other dudes
So
looking
you're going to
at.
dismiss everything he did?
I'm not dismissing.
Kyrie Irving played what, 8 years as a Cav? So after 2 years and 0 playoff series wins, you're going to say he's better than
Let me ask
Kyrie.
how many.
That's crazy.
Let me ask you a question. How
Yeah.
many playoff series wins did he get when LeBron won here?
0. Because he had nothing around him.
Oh, okay.
There's not a player on the planet besides LeBron that would have gone to. Even LeBron might not. LeBron would have. LeBron is the only player in the NBA that could have possibly gone to the playoffs with those teams he played with, and you know it.
Think about this.
They had no talent.
Think about
Nothing.
this. Kyrie.
Let me ask a question. Those teams that Kyrie played with before LeBron came back,
Yeah.
you think if they had Donovan Mitchell instead of Kyrie, they would have gone to the playoffs?
No, not necessarily.
Okay, so come on, you know they wouldn't.
But here's the way I'm looking at it.
And Kyrie was in the first 4 years of his career.
In just 2 years, I'm just showing you the impact that it's a conversation. Because here's the thing, it's a difference. Listen, what's the name? It's a difference between being a bus driver and a bus rider. They talk about it.
Who has scored more points as a Cleveland Cavalier, Kyrie Irving or Donovan Mitchell?
I mean, he's played there 2 years. But,
okay, well,
but
that's
hold
part
on.
of the argument.
But the metrics show you
Who has more 40 points in the Cavaliers?
Who cares? That's one reason.
Okay, so come on,
who
boy.
averages.
Come on, so
And
wait.
by the way, he averages more assists.
So you can sit up here and say who scored more points in the Cavaliers jersey?
That's over a career, not a few random games.
But in less than
Carl,
2 full seasons, he has more 40-point games than Kyrie ever had.
To me,
Kyrie never won Player of the Month.
Who cares
That's
about
crazy.
Player of the Month?
Hey, has Kyrie made
When you're judging players, you're judging.
Oh, God. So we just going to have a conversation based off the postseason at all.
Mike is the biggest basketball fan here. Is that fair to say?
Go ahead.
When you were judging players, have you ever judged them based on most 40-point games or Player of the Month wins?
That counts. That's on the resume.
I mean, it's a tick on the resume, but it's not near the top.
It was everything you would. Come on, you're judging who's better than who. Did you ever think of either of those two stats?
Has Kyrie Irving ever made All NBA?
I think so, yeah.
But I think Donovan Mitchell got cast records for most points in the game, most 40 points games in a row. Like just certain things like that.
Record for making big shots in big games.
He's never averaged 28 like Donovan Mitchell.
Kyrie is a 3-time All-NBA player.
Right now. You know
So
that. You
is
can't
that first
compare
or
it.
second team? First,
One second team, 2 third teams.
Okay, here you go.
Kyrie's got 1 second team, 2/3.
Correct. And Donovan Mitchell, for comparison, has 1 second team.
So,
now, let me ask you this. Those second and third teams, did they come with the Cavs or other teams?
Kyrie's second team came in. I got to go back to the tab. He was second team All-NBA in 2019. In 2015, he was third team All-NBA. In 2021, he was third team
So
All-NBA.
he had a third team All-NBA with the Cavs.
Mitchell
he didn't have the second team.
And he has a second.
His second came in 19, which he was with
the Celtics.
The Celtics.
So how many total All-NBAs does he have?
3 total. 1 first, 2 seconds.
But how many with the Cavs?
Oh, 1. Just 1 with the Cavs. And Kyrie has 1 second, 2/3. Excuse me. 1 second, 2/3.
Right.
So here's the thing. It's very close. It's very close. I'm not knocking Kyrie. Listen, if you said today,
Yeah.
who's more important? Obviously, it's Kyrie, right? That's why I've said he's going to get his jersey retired. Some people don't like that. But Donovan Mitchell, to me, he won't surpass.
Not getting his jersey retired.
No, he has to invest and stay. Kyrie was here. We talked about it.
Yeah.
If a team drafts you, you get that boost. We drafted Baker, you going to get the benefit of the doubt. If you a guy that came in and they think you're a mercenary, you got to overdo it. You got to
Donovan Mitchell's got to play great when it matters. And so far, he's only had 1 opportunity, and he hasn't done it. That's fair.
If he wins the 2 series, are you agreeing that you putting him over Kyrie
If
now?
he plays great in the playoffs and the Cavs win a couple of series, then then you can make an argument, I think. Right now you can't, to me, because he's been here 2 years and played in 1 postseason and didn't play well. So
At the end of the day, man, Kyrie is a great player. Donovan Mitchell is a great player. We've been blessed in Cleveland to have some great players that's not named LeBron James. So it is what it is.
Go ahead, Mike.
Awesome. We're going to move on to our next topic here. And, Earl, we got the 216 show coming up tomorrow. And while I bring you guys out whiteboards, I need you to tell the people what's on the docket for the
So
216
tomorrow, I think I'm going to talk a little bit about, kind of go back to the conversation we had with Imani Bates when he talked about, like, basically he heard the noise and he's going to be a superstar. We're going to dub back. We're going to talk about Craig Porter. Craig Porter Jr. just got the contract and how he had an unorthodox path to there, just to remind people, like, your journey is your journey. To hell with what the stats say or what the non-believers say, man. As long as you believe in yourself, you can do that. Talk a little bit about the Browns, and then do some Q&A, hopefully. So should have some fun.
Hey, listen, man. Listen, shout out to the Summer League squad. Hey, Summer League matters. Yeah, I may not think about it, and you don't know. But there's a lot of long shots out there. Just because, and like this, Earl, just because a lot of other teams haven't done it that way, you could be the first team to start using your G League like that. Why does the G League have to be a throwaway? If you're
It's not. I mean, there's other teams that have developed players too.
But there isn't a main emphasis on it.
No,
like,
it's not like minor league baseball
it's
where
not
you're
minor
purposely
league.
putting them through
Right.
there.
And here's the thing. People have told me, hey, look, Imani Bates is specifically there because they want to work on certain things, right? He told me, he said, look, they want him to work on some other stuff.
Yeah.
I think that is rare that they've had the mindset like, hey, I think the kid could play now, but we want him to work on X, Y, and Z. I think that's a unique perspective in basketball.
And they have he can't play for this team right now. They're too deep.
I think here's the thing. I think he what Sam Merrill gives you, I think he can give you that. However, there's other things that, like, I think they would be like, listen, if I could go ahead and put him in the oven and preheat it to like 375, I can come back next year and he could potentially
They're
be a
hoping
starter.
he can play a bigger role.
Yeah.
Down the line. Sure.
We're going to do true and false in 1 sec, but first, a tiny bit of breaking news. Ohio State has fired Chris Holtmann. Do you guys care?
Yeah, that is long overdue.
I mean, that is a listen. That I'm not going to hate. That was a Mid-American Conference type hire.
Yeah,
they Ohio State, when you had Conley and Oden and all those other guys coming out of it, Ohio State was a major player. This is what happens when you make these little lateral moves like that. I never liked.
I mean, the program's completely off the radar right now.
Yeah,
we never
completely.
talk about college basketball. Certainly,
Happy Love Day to my babies.
I am anti-Valentine's Day.
That's
I do
cool.
what
Happy Love Day to my babies, though. To my beautiful daughters, I love you, and I hope you all have a great day
I thought
today.
you was talking about your girlfriends, man.
I said my babies.
His babies.
My babies.
Well, kudos for that. I hate the holiday.
You didn't say your ladies.
My
This is a
babies,
holiday
man.
basically made up by the card companies to get us to waste money.
That
Don't
is-
buy
that is
Valentine's
probably
Day
true.
cards. Have a conversation with your wife or girlfriend or boyfriend or whoever. Don't buy cards. Don't waste money on it. Just show love to your family. That's it.
You should see. Listen, my wife, she's an accountant. Last year, I sent chocolate covered strawberries to everybody in her company.
Oh my God.
Like,
That
it was
cost you
just in the
$1,000?
accounting. No, it was like 300 or something. But it was just the accounting department.
Oh.
She came to me the other day and she said, "Babe, I do not want you to send any more strawberries. I would like you to say you keep money in the account. I don't like that."
She doesn't approve of that.
She
No.
don't- yeah,
No.
she didn't like that.
Not good.
All right, so we haven't played true and false in a while. We're going to bring it back today.
Yeah.
We're not sure if Anthony knows how to do this and or
boy.
play the music, so just bear with us. If you hear something wonky, this is Anthony's true or false directorial debut, and this is a chance for Anthony to flex his directing muscles. Today's contestant is Jared Allen. How well do you guys know Jared Allen? Let us find
Does this
out.
count? Does this count to the record? Like, does
We are
Earl
keeping
have a record column?
We are keeping a second 3-panel chair record book.
So this
because-
is the G League.
I mean, on that show Around the Horn, they keep the records.
Right.
You
The
know,
record
whether
is the
you're on
record.
once in a while or every day, the records are what they are. So I think it
Right.
counts.
So we're going to keep this. It's an official record, but it does not count in the 4-person panel, and we have
whatever.
Tyvis and Jay together. So let's get to it with some true
You
and
got a pocket,
false
Mike.
on Jared Allen. First one, Anthony, and he played the music. Way to go. True or false, Jared Allen was a 5-star recruit coming out of high school.
Now look, 5-star be kind of high.
Mike loves these 5-star recruits.
Like Ronnie James was a 4-star. Like 5 stars high.
I was going to change my answer, but you got to stick
2
with it.
falses.
All
and-
false.
All falses, 3 falses. That means 3 incorrect answers. Jared
Damn it, I
Allen
should've
was a
changed.
5-star, the
What?
number 15 overall recruit in his recruiting class.
15 overall is 5-star. I thought it was top 10.
I would love to know. Everybody gets all excited about 5-star and this. And I would love to know how accurate those things are. Somebody needs to do a deep dive. That would
I
take
think I stole your
forever.
erase from my bad.
In the
Basketball
NBA,
and football, and see how good those ratings are.
football is
There-
not nearly as accurate. Basketball is a lot more accurate.
There are very good YouTube channels with people who
done that?
do like what happened to 5-star
Yeah.
guys. there's a couple good chances I'll swing it to you.
Basketball's pretty
and
accurate.
what did you say, Mike, between football and basketball?
Football not always accurate. Basketball's pretty accurate.
They're pretty good?
Pretty good.
Okay.
For the most part, the only reason I remember was when Amani went to the second round, I looked at the top 3 prospects in each class going back 20 years. There was one other top 3 guy who hadn't been a first-round pick. So,
all right.
Most of the time, they're pretty accurate. All right, number 2. In his lone season at the University of Texas, Jared Allen's Longhorns finished the year with an 11-22 record.
Very specific.
And all of these are either all true or false.
It's not like they were 11-23.
No, they either were terrible or good,
Yeah.
essentially.
I don't think they was very good. I remember his throw back then. You know, he's not. Let me go with this. I think they made the tournament.
False.
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 3 falses. And once again, 3 incorrect answers. They were 11-22 in his one year.
Damn.
All right. Everyone's 0 for 2. Easy to keep score when you guys
So here's
Let's roll still tied.
here's the crazy part about back to the 5-star.
Yeah.
How is Kevin Durant a 5-star and Jared Allen a 5-star? That can't be that
I guess maybe
like
maybe Durant grew a lot as a freshman in college. Did
I
he
mean
grow?
like 5
I mean, 5
stars.
stars as high as it gets. As long as you're a 98, they're grade you at 98 or above.
So how could they
So
be
it
in the
wouldn't be
same?
about Durant. It would be more about Jared Allen.
Like, how could he be
I
in the
don't
same
know.
stratosphere? Like, who are you comparing that to? Like,
Yeah, that's a good
Also,
point.
the ratings are for your college projection. So
Yeah.
they may think you could be a great college center because you're 6'9" athletic
That's
and
true,
can develop
I
into a
guess.
solid
All right, go
player.
I mean, Jared Allen's a better NBA player than
Bro,
he
you
was a
got a
college player.
No, I'm ready
just
on
looking.
the
All
next.
right.
wait,
Next
next
up.
question.
The Brooklyn Nets made Jared Allen a lottery pick, taking him 13th overall in the 2017 NBA draft.
I should just be like, no, he was 13. Lottery is top 15, right?
Top 14.
14.
G. Bush with true, Earl with false, Bull with false, which means somebody's going to finally get a correct answer. The answer is false. He was the 22nd pick.
You know
He
what
was
you
not a
did?
y'all guy.
Y'all not smart. I know what y'all did. You haters. Y'all was like, it can't be false 4 times in a row. Let me put false or true 4 times
Yeah,
in a row.
right.
I should have did the same thing.
I was thinking that.
Yeah,
That's
look.
why I put false.
Man, dang it.
I've done that before.
Yeah.
But all right, next up, Jared Allen's father, Leonard, was drafted by the Dallas Mavericks in the 1985 NBA draft.
Leonard Allen.
Does Leonard Allen exist, or did I pull him out of midair?
We would have heard this before. False. Falsified records, Nuggets.
He the CEO.
I got true.
Yeah.
Bull says true. G says false. Earl says false, which means, Bull, you're now in the lead. That is very true. He is the son of a former NBA player, Leonard Allen.
He sounds like a member of the paid click affiliates.
What does that mean?
That's a syndicate of medium sauce rappers.
Okay.
All right, once again, these are all true or all false. There's no halfies.
Okay.
At 19 years and 182 days, Jared Allen was the youngest Nets player ever to make his NBA debut.
Jared Allen has been in the league forever.
This guy's an all-star, G. You should do better. You're 0 for 4 so far.
I told you I was off Jared Allen after he played the way he did in the postseason. I'm just now learning his name again.
Earl says false. Everyone else says true. Earl, you know me too well. It is false. Derek Favors, at 18 years old, was the youngest Nets to ever make
Earl
his
and I are
debut.
tied, right?
Derek Favors
It is
played
2-2-1,
like, how,
correct.
He played
Or
like
2-2-0.
96
How many
years
questions
with
left?
that.
3 left.
Hey, man, we
Up
got to
for
watch
grabs.
Earl, man. Earl be up there around the computers when they be making these lists,
True.
dog.
That's true. Is there cheating going
Hey,
on?
Hey,
You
hey,
know
Bull
why
out
these
of pocket.
compu- yeah,
Bull
you-
is out of pocket.
We
They don't even put me on the
intentionally-
email list for true and
I
false.
see where his desk be at. His desk be close, right
Is
by
this a
her.
Jose Altuve situation?
Come on
You know what's funny?
Anthony.
We actually made this when Earl was not in the office, but G. Bush was.
And I was asleep. Dun, 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 dun.
And G. Bush was
Mike
snoring.
Dry-Stitch
G.
right
Bush
there.
fell asleep.
I fell asleep, though. I was out of here. I was like, I almost fell asleep. They was
It
like,
was
no,
on
G.
Monday
Bush.
for the Imani Bates interview. Earl went to do some business. G waited upstairs on the couch. G was snoring like a crazy man on the couch. We made it right behind his back.
And right, they was like, hey, bro, you did go to sleep. I was like, man, no, I was up the whole day. It's like, no, we thought you was dead,
Was
except
he
for you.
aspirating? You know what that is?
He was snoring very loudly.
Snoring, it's when you snore and then it sounds like you stop breathing.
Yes, he was.
Yeah,
yes,
he was doing that.
You got sleep apnea. Do you sleep with a CPAP?
No.
Why do you not sleep with a CPAP?
That's how it be.
Why do you not sleep with a CPAP?
I should.
Dude, it would change your life. It's usually covered by insurance.
Listen, so I went to one of those sleep studies, right?
Yeah.
And it was like, yeah, you be just stop breathing.
You was up there sounding like Mike Epps in Friday After Next, and he was
Yeah.
asleep.
Yeah, dude.
He was out of
Do you
pocket.
got the whole
next up,
CPAP
we can
mask?
talk about sleep apnea and
Real
overtime.
quick, I wear what's called, you can get that. I started with that, I didn't like it. I use what's called the nose pillows, which it just goes into my nose.
Go ahead, Mike. My bad.
Game
Nope,
changer.
you're good.
Game changer. Go ahead.
Next up, we have 3 left. Jared Allen made the All-Star game one time in his career, and he recorded a double-double in his first and only All-Star appearance. True or false?
They're all true or all false, right?
I can tell you for a fact, and this is absolutely true, he made one All-Star appearance. The question is, did he record a double-double or not?
Cheaters.
Can't remember if he had a double-double. He did it for the Cavs.
False for Earl to Pearl.
All right.
True for Adam the Bull, which means we will have a new leader. G. Bush, are you just passing on this question? G. Bush says false. G. Bush is on the board. It is false, which means Earl has taken the lead over Bull by 1. It is 3 for Earl, 2 for Bull, 1 for G with 2
I thought
questions
G already
to
had
go.
one, no?
He has 2. You're right.
Yes.
He has 2. I'm keeping score myself.
You have
They,
His
they,
answer's
they,
correct.
try to listen.
All right, so 3-2-2. Still
3-2-2 with 2 questions left. Everyone is still alive. Question number 7. As a freshman in high school, Jared Allen ordered all the parts and built his own computer. True or false?
First inclination was to write true. He seems like he's a nerdy guy. That sounds like some baloney that Mike would make up. So
You can say BS because I feel the same way you feel.
Earl says
but
false.
Mike would think that we would think it was.
G says
You know,
true.
true. Don't say true.
The answer's true. It is 3-3-3 going into the last question.
Oh! Has this ever happened before?
I don't think we've ever had a
a
three-way tie
three-way tie heading into the last question.
going into the last question. This is unprecedented. Steve Becker, I know you're watching. Send me a Jared Allen tiebreaker that we will come back to at the end of the show if you guys
Give
do
it
not declare
with a
national
number
winner.
we have to pick.
If we do numbers, I'll have a number one. All right, this is the last question that I have prepared. It is 3-3-3. It means all you guys don't know Jared Allen that well, and hopefully you learn better. True or false? Jared Allen has the same number of career games with 3 3-pointers made as Evan Mobley.
That's falsified, right? That man ain't pulling like that.
Bull hasn't blinked since the question came on the board. He's in deep thought here.
What you gonna do, boy? What you gonna do, boy?
I
G.
just-
Bush says false.
I just saw him shoot 2 bricks the other night.
True.
Bull says true. So if the
G's
answer's
either gonna do
true,
the big comeback to win, or Earl and I have overtime.
if the answer's true, we go to overtime. If the answer's false, G. Bush has pulled off the miraculous comeback.
Comeback.
Anthony, give me a
Hey.
drum roll, please.
There it is. Let's get it done. I'll talk
Hit
to
the
you.
button. It's false. G. Bush has pulled off the comeback. G. Bush from the
Nice
depths of
win.
despair.
Hey, we blew a 3-1 lead.
You can now add Bull
Me and Bull blew
Earl
a 3-1 lead.
to the Warriors who blew leads. G. Bush
That
pulled
was
out the
good job,
Batman
Eddie.
reference
Good job, man.
on Monday's show. G. Bush, that was the equivalent of Batman
You
climbing
down
out of the hole
3-1,
in
man.
the
You came
Dark
back
Knight
and you got the
Rises.
victory. How you feel today?
Hey, man, I want to just thank, said my coaches for putting me in a position to make plays, man. My teammates, they work every day hard, man. We came out and we just executed, man. We were down and we went into the locker room early and we just told everybody that we worked too hard in all season for this. So I want to thank everybody, and the crowd was great today too. I'm behind the team, and I'm just looking forward to the opportunity for next week. We play a really good team, and we'll be ready to go.
All right, ladies and gentlemen, this is Earl of Pearl from the Ultimate Cleveland Sports Show. This is your man, G. Bush, the true and false winner. We'll see you next time.
Hi, Mom.
That was impressive, G. Congratulations on pulling off that come-from-behind upset.
That was a good win.
We have a fun topic we're going to end the show with before we do some Super Chats and a little Black History Month update. But first, our last word from our dear friends over at FanDuel. You can get buckets with your first bet on FanDuel, America's #1 sportsbook, because right now, new customers get $150 in bonus bets with any winning $5 bet. That's $150 if your team wins. You can bet on all your favorite NBA players and teams with quick bets, live same-game parlays, exclusive props, and so much more. Just visit FanDuel.com/UCSS and shoot your shot. FanDuel, an official partner of the NBA, an official partner of the Ultimate Cleveland Sports Show. Guys, it is Valentine's Day. I know, Bull, you're not a fan of the holiday, but it is time to give a special appreciation to some special people in your respective lives. So we wanted to put a little sports twist on this. So I asked you guys this morning to give me your all-time Cleveland sports crush, which was a non-star, a player that you were a bigger fan of than most. And Earl, do you want to start us off here? And it's essentially an excuse to talk about some of our favorite all-time old-school players or
Again,
current
it can't
players.
the
Couldn't
thing
be
we
a
were told
star.
is no stars,
Couldn't be a
no
star.
elite players. So couldn't
So
put Nick Chubb on there.
my fandom, because I told them I wasn't using the word crush.
Yeah.
He
it's
would
J.R.
not play
Smith.
along.
Oh, wait a second.
J.R. Smith.
Earl, no, you got to get over that.
It's J.R. Smith.
Why couldn't
couple
you say
reasons?
crush?
Couple reasons. His name is Earl. My name is Earl. Right? Like his whole swag, the tattoos, the personality. Really don't give a damn what other people think about him. You know, he kind of like marched to the beat of his own drum. If you go back and you watch the J.R. Smith highlights, whether he was in New York, Denver, or in Cleveland, his highlight tape is stupid. Like J.R. Smith is just a real one. So,
Did you like the show My Name Is Earl? Did you watch that?
a couple times. I the whole Earl thing and like people, you know, go by Earl the Pearl. Did you know who Earl Monroe is? Yes, I know the
hope
whole.
so.
Yeah.
G. Bush?
And I don't know why. This was very easy. Everybody could have guessed this. You know, I could have went with a lot of people.
Baker Mayfield.
No. No for Baker. I could have went with DeJuan Jones. I could have went with that. I could have went to, Taki Taki, right?
Taki.
Yeah, I like him. He's a solid citizen. I like
But
that
you went
guy.
with Amani Bates.
Of course, you looked at my notes. Imani Bates was on. See, listen, hey, Jason, I saw what you said yesterday. You almost gave him a compliment. We're working on it. We're wearing you down. You was almost there, but then you had to listen. You had to take a back step. You took the step back jumper. It was like, we have to talk about Imani Bates all the time. Listen, get used to it. You're going to talk about it. Listen, it don't matter if you're going to play this year, because guess what? I've already hedged my bets. Porter just got a deal. Merrill is balling. I got 2 out of the 3, right? So here's the thing. I like Imani Bates because there's a lot of times we be telling these young kids, like, they be having issues or problems, and they just want to they don't want to show them that, yeah, you can have some issues, but you can be rehabilitated. You can come and still work hard. Everything that he said in his interview validated what I thought. I had to get in front of him and see how he was when he was answering questions. And Earl asked him some tough questions. You know, he said, hey, guess what? We thought, you people say you're a second-round pick. You in the G League. Those guys don't pan out. How you say about that? He said, we're going to come back and revisit that because I'm going to be a guy of confidence. I asked him what do they want him to work on. He said it's all about the defense end of the course. So I think the dude going to show up. I think he's going to show out. And next year, Jason Lloyd, you ain't got to say his name yet, but you will be writing articles next year. And it will be for the Cleveland Cavaliers.
Yo, he was a really, really interesting interview. And it ain't really just no, like, stick with me, but I really be interested in a person. You know, I'd have been through a lot myself. Like, I used to be a troublemaker, and I used to be a dude that was always counted out. People saying, man, he ain't going to be shit. He ain't going to make nothing out of himself. Like, it's going to be as good as it get. And so when people go through stuff and they get the opportunity to redeem themselves, like, those are the things that's more intriguing to me. Like, we all know Imani Bates can hoop, but I want to know where you at mentally as a man at 20 years old, already going through the stuff that you've been through and having to overcome it. And I thought he carried himself well, and I thought he did a great job of answering the questions. He's damn sure a person that got a lot of, like, confidence in himself and believe that he can maximize on his potential.
All right. There you go. I'm up. So I picked two guys.
Miles Straw?
And both of these guys haven't been in Cleveland in a little bit of time. But my two guys are, you got a graphic for both of them? Or there you go. Joe Schobert and Mike Napoli. So Mike Napoli was only here 1 year. Mm-hmm. But he just took over that clubhouse the year the Indians at the time went to the World Series. Everybody had the party at Napoli shirts. Like, he was an electric personality. I got a chance to meet him at a charity softball game, and I talked with him for like an hour, and he was just awesome to talk baseball with. So he was up there. And then Joe Schobert's on there because I thought, and I've said this before, I thought Joe Schobert was going to become my first active athlete that was a friend. I have former athletes that are friends, but I've never had an active athlete that was a friend. And when Joe first joined the Browns, we end up interviewing him a lot on the Bull and Fox show because he was always willing to talk. And he is a big Marvel movie fan, and so am I. So we really bonded on that. And he and I would talk after the interviews for a while. And I was like, I think Joe Schobert and I are going to become friends. But we didn't become friends. I never got his phone number.
I used to like Mike Napolis. Like, I used to be the person when he used to hit the walk-off home runs. Party at Napolis.
Right.
Exactly.
That was my boy, man. He was cool.
Couple of other guys I considered but did not put on there.
Honorable mention. Let's go.
Rajay Davis. C.J. Miles. Remember when he was on the Cavs?
I liked it.
He was like the one Cav that would come on our show regularly. He was really cool. And
DeQuell Jackson?
what's that?
DQ? Was he too good?
But DeQuell was too good.
Yeah, DeQuell was way too good. Yeah.
DeQuell was a superstar. Oh, and Jason Giambi for that time he was here. He had a walk-off homer. It was it 2014 when they went to the wild card. The Indians that year had to win, I think, their last 11 games to make the playoffs, and they did. And in the final week of the season, they were losing in the bottom of the ninth, and Giambi hit a walk-off home run. I was at the stadium against the White Sox. And it was for a regular season game, it was as crazy as I've ever seen it. And obviously, because it's the Indians' regular season, it wasn't packed. But it was crowded more than usual because it was like the last week and they had to win every game to make the playoffs, and they did. And he hit that walk-off homer, and everybody went bananas. It was so cool to see that in person.
Man, I used to have a dude. I used to think this dude was going to be the truth. Evan Moore.
I liked him too.
I was like, he's like 6'9" or something. Yeah. I'm like, we gonna throw him the rock. I thought he was gonna be the truth, and he never did.
I remember the other day, me and Ant was upstairs talking. Man, Grady Sizemore. I used to think
Grady was kind of good.
He was a superstar.
Yeah, but I thought Grady was gonna be.
He was, but then he just went off the cliff.
You just meant Bull said something twice. Like, he's right. There's a whole topic in there about like superstars only in Cleveland. Like, because that's a distinction. Like,
that's true. Grady Sizemore was a superstar. That's not fair.
But he
was an all-star.
Like DeQuell Jackson. For us, like there needs to be a distinction. For us,
that's true.
He was a superstar. Like if you
right. If there's levels, like DeQuell wasn't Nick Chubb or Myles Garrett level.
Right.
But he was a Pro Bowl player.
Yeah. Even Joe.
Superstar's too strong, but he was a pro.
Joe Schobert was a Pro Bowl player.
That's true.
He was.
But I feel like DeQuell was a legit Pro Bowl.
Oh, yeah.
Schobert was like a bunch of guys canceled, so they went to the Pro Bowl. DeQuell was there was like 3-4 years where he maybe more, where he led the league in tackles.
Yeah,
he was every year. He made every play.
Yeah.
He was awesome.
And the Browns defense sucked. And he had no help. It was like him and Hayden. And that was about it.
I actually talked to DQ the other day for the first time in a while. He's doing well. Says what's up to everybody.
I know we miss him.
I know we miss him too. He can't come on the show when
that sucks.
With the Browns, which is a bummer. But
all right, you got some super chats?
We got two super chats.
Oh, you got your players. Who?
Oh, I was going to do Sam Merrill because I will stand for Sam Merrill to the end of time.
Yeah.
But there's a couple other guys. You guys mentioned a lot of good ones. Any excuse just to talk about old players we liked watching. And I know Merrill and Bates are current, but I always think it's worth just however you get into that discussion.
By the way, Sam Merrill is going to be he's going to become a household name. I'm going to say it right now in the playoffs. The league's going to love him because he's going to have a game where he hits about 4 or 5 threes, and they're going to go crazy.
Sam Merrill, 3-point assassin at night, investment banker during the day. Off top.
We got 2 super chats, and then
Merrill
I
Lynch.
Pass the mic to Earl for his spotlight of the day. But 2 super chats. First one comes from Adam Majette. He says, Earl's about to have Bull living in the trap with this playlist. That was in reference to the
Living in the what?
In the trap.
living in the trap.
What does that mean?
I listen to trap music, not rap music.
What does that mean?
You'll find out on your ride home
Okay.
today. And
You gonna find out when you
Bo
listen.
says Earl and G are out of pocket on this Kyrie
Oh,
Donovan
yeah, they
argument.
were way out of pocket.
So
Hey, man, that was
those are
what
our 2 super chats. Earl, it is officially the floor is yours for your spotlight of the day for Black
All right, let me
History
pull
Month.
that information up real quick. So the Daytona 500 is this weekend. Me being a NASCAR guy was only right. Wendell Scott, 1963, became the first black driver to ever win a NASCAR event. After competing in local circuits in the Virginia area, Scott gained his NASCAR license in 1953, becoming the first black racer to compete with the promotion. He debuted on the Grand National Series level in 1961. In 64, he won the Jacksonville 200, becoming the first black driver to win in NASCAR's highest level. He led the race for 27 laps, but still had to protest for his win as the checker flag was not initially raised to recognize his victory. One more thing, this Sunday is the 500. I really, really hope Bubba Wallace could become the first black driver ever to win the Daytona 500.
Is he the only black driver in NASCAR?
Currently in NASCAR, top circuit, yes, he
Yeah.
is. So I'm cheering for him. I hope he get it done.
Dude, I think this is too. I think Earl, people don't understand. I think Earl is groundbreaking. Earl, I believe, is the only person in the Cleveland sports media ever to have locks.
Might be.
Is that true?
You go down the list. I don't know. Listen,
Ever?
I mean, y'all been in the Cleveland sports media longer than
generally speaking, you know why? I would bring that up because a lot of times they'll tell you, like when you were supposed to be on TV or something, they let you. Oh, you got to be clean cut. You can't.
Right.
You got to have a fade. You can't have. You got to cut that in there.
Well, between Earl's hair and my beard, neither.
Right.
clean
Oh yeah,
cut right
we
there.
breaking a lot
I
of
got
rules.
this grubby beard. I'm trying to think. So, well, let's see. Let's think of black members of the sports media in Cleveland since I've been here. Besides you guys, you got Gerard and Emmett at K&R. Those guys don't.
No.
You had the BSK.
Nope. Andre Knott. Nope.
Andre Knott. No. Andre's bald, isn't
Where was BSK from?
He was
from Cleveland, wasn't he?
Yeah. He went to OU too.
Who else? I can't.
Ronnie Duncan. Shout out to Ronnie Duncan. He's in Detroit now.
Yeah. There was a
19.
sport. I can't remember his name. I think he's in D.C. now. He did sports here for like a year or two recently, but he was a big dude.
You
He
know
had a
who-
bald head. I can't remember his name.
You know who blew up? And I don't even know. Like it used to be your intern Miles. He's
Yeah.
like on the NFL, on Monday morning.
That's my guy.
So, is it Monday morning quarterback?
PFF.
PFF.
No. Not PFF.
Pro football.
Mike Florio.
Yeah,
I can't
yeah,
think what it-
yeah. Pro football talk.
Yeah, he's
He's not black.
not Mike Florio. Miles.
Miles.
I was like, bro, he's so out of pocket. Like, we've had him on the show.
He started his career as an intern
Right.
on my show.
Yeah.
And he was the only intern I keep in touch with because the rest of them were useless. Miles, I love that kid. I keep calling him a kid. He's like 30 now.
Did he win? And I think he worked for the Rams.
He worked for the Rams.
And
yeah.
I'm like, man, they got he.
Great,
See you on
great
OT.
family. Great
Like, listen, you talk about like living your dreams, being black from the
See you in
inner city,
overtime.
covering sports in your city.